Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Thanks for being here. It's going to be a fun show. I've got Nick Farrell here by my side, ready to get going. It looks like the show comments, new comments will appear in real time. Okay, so without further ado, let's bring on Nick Farrell. And hello, Nick.
Everyone.
We might have a problem with the comment section here, but I think we'll be fine. Yeah, it's a Thursday afternoon here in Vancouver, and it's late there in Rome, so thanks for joining. I know the time difference is never easy between us.
Yeah, 9 o'clock's pretty good.
Perfect.
It's just evening, but it's just really hot here at the moment. So, and I'm wearing a t-shirt, which is far too hot. I've got a fan about 6 feet away from me, and it's really hot.
Yeah, I am not envious. Fortunately, Vancouver, we've had like amazing summers ever since the environment sort of went crazy. It's just really been good for us in the microclimate of the west coast of Canada. It's just made our summers and winters more mild and beautiful. So we're lucky for now. Maybe once the avalanches and the earthquakes come, we'll have to learn to swim. But for now, we're doing pretty darn good. Yeah, but I can't wait to get to Italy, man. I'm definitely gonna have to visit Italy when I'm there in Prague for ENOCHIACON, which obviously, hopefully, you and your lovely wife will let me drag you up from Rome to Prague to have fun with all of us there. It's gonna be a special event because 500 years after John Dee's birth. What a crazy thing. Who would have thought we're talking about him this long after he passed?
Well, he was pretty famous in Britain. They didn't really know much about him in America or across the pond.
No, they didn't. All right, before we get into the show today, Nick sent a while back, excuse me, some of my stream people here will know that, Nick, you sent me a video that we wanted to check out, but I said we had to wait till you had the time. And so now we have the time to check out this video. It's a sort of a new age, The Secret. He's a secret type of guy. I think we'll find out. But he also does events in Austin, just like the event in Austin that I'm hosting this November 6th through 8th, ENOCHIACON, which isn't just for Dee and Kelly and Enochian magicians and scholars, but for any esoteric scholar who wants to learn more about different arcane mysteries. We have a special panel this year on the whole UAP psychedelic phenomenon that, we like to have different themes each year, or that we focus on based on what presenters want to come. And so we'll have a special little thing this year where that crossover realm is explored a tiny bit, and that should be very wild on the first day and at the first lunchtime. So yeah, that's what's coming up. Let me just play a little video promo to tell you more about our exciting event, and then we'll dive into the main feature, which is unleashing the famous snark of the great Nick Farrell and me, always the voice of reason and calm and never losing my cool. And so we'll have a fun time and make many memories with all of you here today. So welcome to the show. Be active in the chat. Ask us any questions you want. We have them on screen here. And without further ado, enjoy this song I wrote and recorded to promote our conference coming up. 3 equal payments ending September 1st. So get your tickets now. tonight, 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 tonight. All right. So yeah, it's coming up, folks. And without any more delay, let's dive into Noose and Nonsense. Good sir, we've switched bodies. I thought I was the one holding the cup of tea, but it seems you have tricked me.
No, I'll be holding gin and tonic, my good man.
Oh,
gentlemen.
Lord, I think it's too early in the day for me to do such a gentleman.
Where it is too late in the day for me to do it.
Oh, darn it. Well, let's say hi to some of the people in the chat. David says, Steiner reborn here. Great to see you folks. Wow, what a bumpy road to wake up to this reality. Unexpectedly happy to see me? Yeah, we're happy to see you. Greetings and salutations, Renee. Yeah, great day of Jupiter to you all. Felix Fortuna Rex, this is wonderful. Hello, hello. And there's new people coming in all the time, so I probably should have introduced you better. Nick Farrell, let me just say, for those of you who don't know, is one of the most prolific authors in the Golden Dawn tradition and has a long history as an initiate in the Golden Dawn, stretching back a very long way. I don't even know actually when you started, Nick. Was it
17? So, and I'm 61 now.
Boy, yeah. David Heimsmith was just telling me so much about being 60 and what he wants to do now that he's 60 and get his stuff in museums. He just talked to Hanegraaff about that. Did you have any big changes in focus when you hit 60? What should I look
No, not really. The thing is that I had actually done what I wanted to do, which was I wanted to originally write 20 books. I set myself that as a target, and I did. And
you did that with your eyes closed.
Yeah, now I've done 24. So yeah, not much has changed really. I have done a lot more things in a different angle than I used to do, and I'm getting much more into sort of pagan-y stuff, pagan approaches to magic, which are different from the Golden Dawn stuff. But I think I've got plenty of work to do for the next few years at least.
Yeah, for anyone
particularly with the Substack. The Substack is basically me and Paola being journalists again, and that's really cool fun because we're writing esoteric content, which is in a semi-professional way, and it's coming out weekly, and that is like the old days. I mean, I was interviewing someone the other day, and I had my pen and my notepad out, and suddenly I was back in the days when I was a journalist, and it was really good fun. It reminded me of when I used to make politicians cry.
It is a tempting thing to go out and do that sort of stuff, isn't it? To just lambast with the pen.
Yeah, I mean, there's no harm in it anymore. It's not like there's any real magazine. If you're writing a magazine now, people want you to be all nice and calm, and you've got to accept these people, these occult heroes, as gods, and I don't think you do. I think you need to look at them as human beings and understand where they're coming from. Otherwise, you'll make the same mistakes that they did. And I've had a lot of fun writing a series of articles on famous occult people, which a lot of people have found really offensive, which I think means it's probably right, hits the right mark. And a lot of people were don't know some of the things that went on. I mean, I did it when I wrote King Over the Water with Mathis, and even I didn't know some of Mathis's stuff, which was, yes, he was a member of the Cynac movement in Paris. And when they were talking about politics, the reason why Annie Horniman was so pissed off with him was she was a daughter of a Liberal MP, and the Cynacs were right-wing of Genghis Khan. So everyone thinks that Mathis was playing around with nice little Scottish Jacobean shortbread box sort of stuff, but he was actually goose-stepping Nazi.
What was their goal in their political movement in France? Was this part of, and was it part of Papous's same movement?
Yeah, he was right into it.
Obviously, I've read your Mathers book. I really enjoy. I'd like to think maybe I'm one of the reasons why it's back in print, because people kept telling me they couldn't get it because I was promoting it, not knowing it was out of print, because I was like, I enjoy it. I like these sort of rough and tumble looks at people, and there's so little content about Mathers and the Golden Dawn out there generally. So we appreciate those of you who, like yourself, who take the time and effort to labor in this field, because it's you know, it's not buying us a house like the one in the background image here, this you know, English mansion. It's a labor of love and a calling that you've had your entire life, and I've had it my entire life as well, but my life hasn't been as long as yours. So I'm very, you know, that's why I appreciate so much getting to hear your thoughts. I mean, you're really no holds barred in your books and in the articles you and Paula are doing, which are really great. I mean, people don't have to agree. People, I mean, also the problem is you're running up to is people these days more than ever, I think, have this sense like we need to all agree with each other on everything. Otherwise, oh, it's war, you know. What happened?
Yeah, I think there's this
disagreement. You know, can't we disagree?
It's not even that. I think what they want is people to agree with them, and when someone doesn't agree with them, then they find it a personal attack. And it's always been like that. It's just that with the internet, normally they'd have just shut up, and now they're more likely to get back to you and say, but I know this. And when you ask them, how do you know this? They don't, in a way that is quite alarming. And so they've accepted
nonsense.
Yeah, that's where you get this idea. I mean, given the fact that magic is supposed to be about wisdom, knowledge, and everything else, there's a lot of people who outsource their thinking to their teachers, their groups, or something like that. And they end up believing all sorts of bollocks. And this is one of the things that I think in the sort of last 20 years or so has got really, really worse. And I mean, you can sit down and talk to people and you say, and they'll tell you that, you know, emphatically, the Golden Dawn did this. And you say, well, where did you get that from? And they say, oh, I got it from my teacher and he should know. And you say, well, does he? Was he a member of a Golden Dawn group even? And it turns out, no, but he was really informed. And no, he can't have been. I mean, I don't believe that anyone can be properly informed about the Golden Dawn unless they've been through a ritual, you know, an initiation ritual. Not they have to be initiated. They have to have seen one at least. And
it helps.
I don't think they do that. Yeah, I mean, it's really important. Yeah. And what I think, this video, which got me pissed off, is this a guy who has obviously found a Golden Dawn book and decided that this is a really good tool to market his self-development courses for business people. Now, it's, you know, okay, fair enough. It's a good idea, but it's not the Golden Dawn. And what you do is when you start picking apart these ideas, you find that they're really, really shallow. and or come from sources that are even more shallow. And it's not that we need to defend the Golden Dawn. The Golden Dawn's quite happily going on anyway. It's just that we need to point out that when people tell us, they come back to us with this person who says, you know, I can do magic by visualizing something, and then wanting it with all my will and everything else. And then, you know, that's a good way to do a business ritual. It isn't. I mean, a business ritual is quite involved. It involves you getting up at 5 in the morning and you know, doing some really serious chanting. It's not like you can sit there and I'm going to think it into being, because if you could, the world would be a really shittier place than it is now.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I expect we'll talk more about this. This will also lead some. This video can also be a springboard to talking about a bunch of different issues, like the that I think he'll bring up. You know, money magic is one of them. Abundance, or my buddy recently got his inheritance and said, hey, I got my inheritance, let's go play craps and lose it all. You know, I'm synopsizing for you and making it as funny as possible, but essentially we went out and he started by saying, hey, can you still do that tarot thing where I know the card before I flip it over, because he's, you know, seen me do these things since we were young. A lot, right, including calling dice in Dungeons and Dragons. Like, my friends stopped doing it because I stopped getting it wrong. And so, yeah, we went out and had some fun. But those are, people are curious about practices like that. People are curious about using sigils. I was talking actually with a really interesting channel called Home Math the other day about the Saturn square. He was asking about the Saturn square, so we had a back and forth about, he was like, I don't know what they use it for, but they have these squares and then they draw the sigil, and he drew it, and we don't know what it's, I don't know how to use it, but I'm curious, so I told him how to use it, and then we went back and forth a bit. And so people are very interested, even people you wouldn't expect out there to be interested in magic these days. And that's, I think, the exciting thing about the world we find ourselves in. When I was young, no one gave a shit. No one cared. Just literally no one cared. You could say whatever you want about it, and you couldn't get them interested to save your life in virtually any spirituality. When I was growing up, you know, as a teenager in the 90s, it just didn't seem to be like it was on the table. 2000s hit, and everyone's a Wiccan all of a sudden, so that was fun. Yeah, I think Silver Ravenwolf really blew the door open on Wicca in a way that hadn't happened yet when I grew up with Scott Cunningham, you know. So, anyway, let's get to the
generates
show.
An egregore, but magic.
All right, this is the show. Yeah, we're coming up. All right, everybody, if you want to support the show, like and subscribe it, share it on all the crazy New Age channels that you're in and all the strange voodoo groups you're in. Maybe not them, but, you know, share it around. And drop a super chat if you want, or become a channel member. Or you can buy channel memberships for other people and support the show. It's amazing. If we get 17 more, we unlock a new emoji. So throw your favorite custom esoteric emoji in the chat, and we will let the party get started. Here we go.
Orders generate them deliberately. They feed them through ritual. They structure them through symbol. They sustain them through the dedicated practice of their members across generations. Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott, and I'm really excited today to do a deep dive on the Golden Dawn. This is just the beginning of a series of episodes that I'm going to do to break down some of the secrets of the Golden Dawn.
I don't know if you noticed, but I found out, I discovered that Morg, someone my friend likes, on YouTube, did a series on the Golden Dawn. So I went through all of them, and I even reviewed all of them on the channel in one. It took 6 hours, but I decided to take him seriously, even though he doesn't deserve it. But I just thought, you know, if I'm going to do it, let's try and do it right. And we went through all of it, and it was funny, you know, because by the end, at the beginning, you could tell he's just trying to use it to funnel people into his own neogenesis thing, this guy Morg. But by the end of it, after the first video was popular, he went out and bought more books, more Golden Dawn books. And you could tell as he's describing it in the most vapid and parochial manners possible, you know, you could tell, though, that it was impacting him and causing him to rethink maybe even his neogenesis stances. So I felt sort of bad for him too, because like, oh dude, too bad you had to write a book and put out your screed as a guru before exploring more, because maybe this actually might have been a good path for you to take in life. You could have actually done this, but instead you just had to go straight to indoctrinate. Everyone wants their dogma. I feel a lot of people want their dogma these days. They want to have their own dogma. They want to codify it, and are very uncomfortable with the anxiety of being open to to being uncertain and new things. I don't know. Ramble over. That's So we covered that guy, and so he's doing a series on Golden Dawn as well. Yeah, I just think it's great that people are discovering the Golden Dawn is out there, and you and I and other people need to create pathways for them to find the good stuff.
But they want it because it's got famous people in it, like Crowley and Yates and stuff like that. That it's just like a name you can tag something on. I mean, it could really be anything. A lot of things
have famous people. Maher, Transcendental Meditation has the Beatles, and Kabbalah has Madonna. They could do lots of things, I'd like to think that the GD tradition is calling out to be remembered, historically in a certain way. I mean, for me, I love history. So I'm always going to be focused on understanding it throughout history, not just in my own isolated time and place, and not just looking at it as this pristine thing of the past that needs to be preserved and replicated unaltered. I love the living tradition, but I also love understanding how it changed and grew over time. That's what history is, right? So that's always going to be my passionate take on it, and the way I want to sort of remember it. And I don't know, at least it's getting popularized, so we can hopefully direct these people to events where folks like you will actually be, and where they can see other, good scholars and get good information. All right.
This is a secret order that taught the modern world how to create reality. I want you to imagine something with me. You're standing in the fog of Victorian London, 1888. Gas lamps flicker along the cobblestone streets.
Every time
somewhere in a quiet building away from the noise of the empire.
Every time they do things like this, it always reminds me of Big Bang Theory, where the episode where Sheldon always insists on going back to, you're standing in the agora and you look up and you see the star. It's absolute bollocks. And also 1888, Jack the Ripper. So you wouldn't, if you were walking along the streets at that time of night in London, you would either be a prostitute or someone out to kill a prostitute. So it's not something you want to talk very, very nicely about. I don't think the Golden Dawn met at night. I'm not sure, but they met at Mark Nason Hall, and they were told to enter by the side door because they had women, so they weren't allowed to bring in women because they were supposed to be prostitutes, I guess. But they had to go inside door. So if it was dark, it wouldn't matter if they went to the front. So I would think that if you see British Mark Mason's Hall, the side door was down an alleyway, and that would have been dark. So yeah, this sort of, let's try and imagine this evocative, I can't even pronounce it properly, evocative scenario in London is an American fantasy. It wasn't. It was smelly. It was dirty. It was covered in coal. In fact, I think fairly early, recently, the time of the Golden Dawn, there had been an incident where the coal smog was so thick, the fog was so thick that it actually killed people. It happened. I think it happened twice. So it's not a nice, evocative thing you want to present. And I think
people went around with kerchiefs over their face most of the time, similar to us during lockdown, right? Like the coal soot was so heavy in the air, it would be all over you. It was kind of, we fantasized, but it was actually kind of gross.
Yeah, and I think some of those lamps, I mean, the lamps that you see there, they're powered by poo. the underground sewage, which was innovative at the time, used methane from the sewage system. So when you see those lamps, you know that they're powered by poo. There's only one left in London. So yeah, here we are. We've got this. He's trying to create this image of an evocative image, which again is trying to push the brand, and it doesn't really work if you know anything about London.
A small group of men and women gather in a room draped in black cloth, lit by candles, surrounded by symbols older than Christianity itself.
Okay.
They're about to perform a ritual that will change the course.
This is where the AI has got completely out of control. And I know, I mean, it's like when you see these TV shows and you see they're doing a ritual and it's full of candles, and the first thing I always think of is who lit those fucking candles, because there's thousands of them, and by the time you start at one end you have to finish at the other. This is where the AI's got out of control. If you read Mathis's, it's in my book, I wrote as I published as Nord. He describes them actually meeting in people's houses. So they're not meeting in town. Some met one stage of their history, they met in Mark Mason's hall, but in other stages, they were meeting in people's houses. And there's a certain structure to a Victorian house, which meant that they would lift out the dining room table and the sofa and everything else. And they have a nice, long, thin room. It wouldn't have been draped with black. There's nothing to suggest, why would it? It would have been just a normal person's house with pictures on the wall and things like that. So you're not looking at anything evocative. Again, it's a fake idea of what was going on.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's what, that's the fun thing about doing this with you, is it's really great to hear, like, the video shows something wrong and then you paint a more accurate picture, and it does transport me back to those times, which I did wish I grew up in when I was younger, of course. And then I learned about some of the other aspects of life back then, and it's like
dying of typhoid is always fun.
Yeah, I think I looked at this. I looked up the immortality rate for celiacs 125 years ago. Yeah, it wasn't a year. It was less. It was months. It was in months. It was in months. We were those babies that died throughout history, the ones that couldn't eat grains and bread.
Of Western spirituality forever, and hardly anyone in the world knows they exist. This is the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and by the time we are finished, you will understand why this single organization, which lasted barely 15 years in its original form, became the most influential magical order in modern history. You will understand how its teachings traveled underground through secret societies.
What do you think? Credit where credit's due? Most influential magical order in history? I mean, there's not a lot of competition.
No, there isn't. I mean, the most influential one that we know about.
Well, that's what would make it influential.
The most influential secret organization we know about. Isn't that a bit of a problem? I mean,
yeah, they're the most.
I mean, I'd say the most influential public one would be, and I hate to say it, is a morgue. I mean, how many thousands of members has that had, and how many thousands of people have been through it, and how many people have been influenced by it? BOTA is the same, although
how many thousands of people still meet through its buildings and events? Like that's the
Philosophical Society.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah.
And the Esoteric Society, which is still going and still secret, still so secret.
Esoteric section. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, it was interesting reading Melissa Seam's book, seeing that there wasn't just one esoteric section. It's like there was kind of three. There was the main one, and then there was the one for the second one that was like, I forget how it was differentiated, but then there was one of the certain brand or variety. Anyway, I need to finish reading that book and interview her, but fantastic to hear, like, they were part of so many groups, those guys, especially like the lads in Bradford. Like, they were just, the amount of groups they were in
because of tourists.
Like, when do you spend time with your wives and kids, or work. I guess a lot of
well, I don't think they cared that
business
much for their
owners.
wives and kids. I think their wives and kids were probably something that didn't really feature much on their agenda. I mean, I think the Golden Dawn, when they sent Annie Horniman up to sort them out, I think whoever made that decision really was having a laugh, because Annie Horniman was a strong woman. They were stubborn misogynists. It would have been a fight really worthwhile seeing. But like I say, they didn't stay in the Golden Dawn that long.
She was the rare woman with a lot of cheddar, right, as an heiress of the tea fortune.
It wasn't that. It was just that they wanted a separation from London because they didn't want tyranny by petticoats, which is because they didn't like Florence Farr, and they certainly didn't like Annie Horniman. So sending her up to sort them out, I think, was almost a certain way of, let's get rid of these guys as quietly as possible so they'll want to leave, which, of course, they probably did.
Yeah, they didn't continue on. They're the ones that just didn't continue on post schism. So that is interesting. It's also interesting that, I noticed as soon as Melissa's book came out, a lot of people were telling me, like, oh yeah, that temple seems to have just been fighting the whole time. It's like, well, if you look at the time frames when things happen in it, it's not like it was fraught. It's like there was some issues at the beginning, and then there's some issues at the end, but for like a long period of like 70 years, and that's a long time, they were just trucking on, doing the work, it seems. So they were stable, but they definitely had desires to change the core ethos of the Golden Dawn, and they wanted to exclude women, and I'm glad they weren't allowed to.
Yeah, no, I think this is the problem, is I lose interest in them once they left the Golden Dawn, and I think they left the Golden Dawn quite quickly, and I don't think that the Golden Dawn really missed them that much. Whereas I think whatever they did in Bradford was much better, more interesting, because it was their thing, and that's fair enough. But as far as the Golden Dawn's concerned, I don't think they really got it. I mean, the first thing, it's like the first rule of the Golden Dawn is, let women in. In fact, you're 5/6, you're supposed to swear to that you agree to uphold the rights to initiate women. That's really important. So, and at that time, although it was complete bollocks, they all believed that came from the German Rosicrucians. That came from the Rosicrucian movement. So to stand against that means that you're choosing misogyny over the Rosicrucian movement, which is a bit weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it is weird. It is weird, but I'm glad we're bringing it up.
Mystery schools and whispered lineages for over a century, shaping everything from new thought movements to the manifestation teachings you and I practice every single day.
No.
More importantly,
absolutely not.
You will understand.
Absolutely not.
He tried to slip that one past us, didn't he?
Yeah, no, that one is no way. The Golden Dawn has nothing to do with New Age thought, New Thought, any other thing other than what it said on the tin. It's Hermetic studies. It's not. It's never been. The only person that tried to do that was Paul Foster Case, and that was a long time after the Golden Dawn had closed, except in New Zealand. So, yeah, slip that one past.
He's, the reason he says this, though, is because many people say this in books these days, and I think that's one of my favorite things to push back against about is the idea that the Golden Dawn was created to be a purely psychological model of spirituality, which, I mean, that you can only think that if you don't read the Golden Dawn materials, of course.
Well, it'd be hard pressed to do that, because most psychology hadn't developed at that point. And,
exactly.
I mean, Dion Fortune probably was more closer to that, her and Israel Regardie. And so that's really late on the timeline. And I don't think you can say I've never seen any Golden Dawn papers which show psychology or psychological ideas being used. I can see Dion Fortune interpreting them that way, but not the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah, but and it's perpetuated by like even modern magicians like John R. King III in the back of his book Imperial Arts has a whole multi-page rant against the Golden Dawn as just New Age imagination, creative
Craig
imagination and
was
psychology. And Joseph
Craig was a
Leshevsky,
member. Craig was a
John R.
member of
King
the
III,
Golden Dawn.
Craig,
Yeah,
I've said
Craig was
John R. I don't know. Yeah, Craig.
Donald
No, I'm
Craig.
talking
Sorry,
about
I was thinking the wrong.
Don Craig was with Chris
Yeah,
Manastra.
Pat. Yeah, Pat Beeman. Yeah,
Also, yeah, Joseph Leshevsky, the grimoire guy for Howling Pits of Hell or whatever. He's very popular. He also went on apparently in his books rants about the Golden Dawn just being a New Age thing. So it's always fascinated me the conflation of Golden Dawn, the ongoing attempt to conflate the Golden Dawn with New Age, New Thought, and the manifestation movement, as opposed to the more evocatory conjuration grimoire tradition merged with theurgy, Rosicrucianism, and therefore Hermetism that it actually is. So that's always interesting to highlight for people, I think.
And how to use.
It's not that people can't also do New Thought. Like, you can be in the Golden Dawn and be into New Thought and The Secret. There's nothing wrong with people pursuing their own spirituality. It's just like,
you
like
might
even
sail
the
over
original
your head a bit.
LRP doesn't describe what to visualize. There's no visualizations described, right? There's
No.
Yeah.
Use what they discovered, because the Golden Dawn was at its core a technology for creating reality. And the principles they codified are as alive and as potent as they were when W.B. Yeats walked through their temple doors. When Aleister Crowley met.
Yay! Told you it's always the same time. W.B. Yeats, Aleister Crowley. Look, I've got my full bingo score. And, everyone says, oh, Yeats was involved, therefore it must be highbrow. Oh, Crowley was involved, therefore we
Bram
must have
Stoker.
sex.
They all say
Bram Stoker. Yeah, they always love to bring him in, even though he probably wasn't a member. I think he might. There was. I think there was a source of the source of it came from Bristol Temple. Now, where according to Pat Zalewski, she had Hughes ran the Bristol Temple, and she had Bram Stoker as a contact, and he was dead. He was dead a long time at that point, but she made a reference to him in one of the Equinox addresses, and she said, "Our Frater Stoker is here and amongst us." So that's where that came from. Someone's read that and then added the two things together. I don't know if that's true, but it seems a likely thing, because once again, people forget about contacts within the Golden Dawn, because the psychological movement tried to purge any reference to contacts from Golden Dawn talking. So Regardie considered all contact talking just talking to your unconscious. There was nothing, your subconscious. There was no value in it at all. But the actual Golden Dawn, all of them were channeling something. In fact, it was part of your goal to find something to channel. If you couldn't channel something, there was something wrong with you. So to say that is part of one of the problems that people have with old Golden Dawn, with the psychological Golden Dawn. Dion Fortune, of course, was channeling anything that moved, from Socrates to 17th century sex pest. She didn't know he was a sex pest at the time, Lord Elgin. But yeah,
I don't know who that is. But yeah, that's
Lord Elgin
was
the Chancellor of the Exchequer, and he was a sex pest.
Those naughty lords and ladies, they're used to getting away with everything. Yeah. All right.
Memorize their rituals. When Dion Fortune carried their flame into a new era. When Israel Regardie, in an act of breathtaking courage, published their entire secret system for the world to see.
This gets me pissed off every time anybody says it. Israel Regardie did not do anything brave by publishing those books.
Crowley and Mathers had already gone to court over Crowley publishing that stuff, right?
Yeah, well, some of it. I mean, it's not all in the Equinox, but
no, I know
there was nothing brave in it. All he did that was sort of brave, and I say sort of, was when he published it. It was 1937, and it was still technically in copyright, but the copyright laws weren't old enough, so he wasn't. It was marginal whether or not he could be sued by the original writers for copyright infringement. That was the only thing he was going to face. There was nothing anybody else could do. I mean, and the person who wrote it was Mathers, who was dead. So it's not like it would have been an expensive court case. It would have been very, very difficult to pull off. So, and also when Regardie did it, it was the biggest act, I think, of self-important wank that I've ever heard in my life. I'm doing it to save the Golden Dawn. Oh, fuck off. You weren't. You were doing it to make yourself famous.
Now, did he publish it to save the Golden Dawn before or after he wrote to Farrell and inquired about a secretarial position with them?
I don't know. Actually, I've forgotten that story. I don't know.
Well, I learned it from your book, of course.
Yeah, I've got a memory like a sieve these days. But he was really young. He was 26, 27 when he wrote that.
And you're 26, like 27. Coming in at 25 into the GD.
Yeah.
More money than sense.
Yeah, but he also didn't try. Crowley thought he was being a tosser, and that coming from Crowley, that's something. So
really, yeah.
When there's a letter that Crowley wrote, deliberately spelling Regardie's name correctly, which would have really made him cross. It's something like is much more Jewish, and he said that he cured him. Crowley said he cured him of his fixation with masturbation, and for that he was his secretary. But then he said he betrayed Dion Fortune, he betrayed the Golden Dawn, he betrayed his oath. He was not a nice person, and again, not something to forget. Farrell people didn't really have a problem with him because nothing changed there, and the books didn't really come out until much, much later. I have seen a first edition on Percy Wilkinson, who is a Farrell Adept's shelf, so they didn't have a problem with that. What they did have some of the senior Farrell people regarded him really badly. Frank Salt hated his guts. I have seen a rant from Frank Salt about Israel Regardie and being an oath breaker and all this sort of stuff, which is fair enough. And Regardie himself, when he showed up in New Zealand, and he was in his 80s, being introduced to these Farrell members, was a bit scared that they'd cut his head off. And they didn't, because they're nice people. But it could have easily have happened. And by then, the order had shut 5 years, 6 years earlier. Anyway, so that's what there's nothing. This myth that there was any bravery on the part of Regardie at all. It wasn't. And when we look at his involvement with the Golden Dawn, he attended 7 rituals. He wasn't an expert, so when he wrote this sort of stuff, he was, just trying to make a name for himself, and it backfired badly. I mean, the book wasn't a success. It wasn't until the Beatles in the late 60s that the book even started to get noticed, and particularly when Llewellyn bought it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it survived. It just slept through the entire Second World War, I guess.
Only one book came out in the entire second.
Okay.
It is because there's 3 books in it, and the first book came out just before the war. They were supposed to have 2 others, and I don't think they came out until after the Second World War because there were severe paper restrictions.
Yeah. We got Jorge in the chat. Hey, Jorge. Jorge's one of Chris Monastra's adepts from back in the day. And good friend of the show. He's got a book on Hecate coming out. Very exciting.
Story about power, about imagination, about the hidden architecture of the universe and the human beings who dared to map it. And I promise you, by the end of this, you will look at your own practice of reality creation with entirely new eyes. The official story goes like this. In 1887, Dr. William Wynne Westcott, a London coroner, Freemason, and devoted occultist, discovered a collection.
Is that Westcott? Was that Westcott, that picture?
I think it's kind of meant to be.
And the human beings who dared to map it. And I promise you, by the end of this, you will look at your own practice of reality creation with entirely new eyes. The official story goes like this. In 1887, Dr. William Wynne Westcott, a London coroner, Freemason, and devoted occultist, discovered a collection of cipher manuscripts. These documents were written in a code that, when deciphered with the help of his colleague S.L. MacGregor Mathers, revealed the skeleton of an entire magical curriculum, rituals, grade structure, and elemental teachings drawn from the Kabbalah, Hermeticism, alchemy, astrology, and Egyptian mythology. Hidden among these pages was an address. It belonged to a woman named Anna Sprengel, a Rosicrucian adept living in Nuremberg, Germany. Westcott wrote to her, and the course.
Yeah. Nope. This is a great myth. The cipher manuscripts don't mention Anna Sprengel. It's a myth, and in fact, the cipher manuscripts don't mention a lot of things. And there is a very, very good theory that they were written after the rituals had been already constructed, in case there was any backblow against the lineage, which turns out there was. But this thing, it's Sprengel, everything else. The name Anna Sprengel comes from when Falcon was going around Europe looking for Rosicrucians, specifically, if he could find it, him, her, it, Sprengel. And he asked around, and one of it turned out that somebody said, "Oh, yeah, you mean Anna? She lives in this hotel." And that's when he arranged to meet her, and he cured her of something. Can't remember what. But thereafter, it became associated with Anna Sprengel. I remember Bob Gilbert telling me that, which was when I first met Bob Gilbert. It was one of the first conversations we had was I saying, "Oh, and Anna Sprengel," and he says, "Well, actually, there's no proof to say it was Anna." So no. So you know that somebody hasn't done much research when they refer to Anna Sprengel, which is fair enough because I was very young and I hadn't done any research. But this guy is supposed to be doing quite expensive courses on Golden Dawn. So, yeah.
Is he doing? I don't think this guy's doing courses on Golden Dawn. I know Mage Space is using Kajabi's AI to produce Golden Dawn courses from Damien Eccles and Liam Thomas Christopher's Kabbalah Magic and the Great Work of Transformation. They're doing that. I know Agrippa's Diary also has like a Golden Dawn, but also all Grimoire course complete thing. That's I have checked out his stuff. Apparently, it's not AI scripted, but it would be more factual if it were. So there's the two ones. There's the AI stuff that's nonsense. There's the human written stuff that's nonsense. And it's funny, sometimes it would be better that someone actually put in real books.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Then go from what they've read on Reddit or learned from their buddy who likes Crowley. Who knows? Yeah. I really am jealous that I never got to meet Bob Gilbert before he passed. And what other than his Masonic interest, what was his fascination with the Golden Dawn that led him to be the first scholar of it?
He hated it. I mean, if
why
you
did he study it then? Yeah, so
I think there's a mixture of things. He was very much interested in weight, and from Wait to Golden Dawn was he had lots. He was also a bookseller and he collected stuff, and he was so the whole picture of it. You can see if it's like this exists. I'm getting good at it. People keep throwing me papers, and I'm understanding it. He was doing this for many years, and he was researching it for many years, and he was capable. He was a brilliant storyteller. If you ever met him, it doesn't come across in his books, but if once he told you the story about Israel Regardie and the cannabis cookies, you never forgot it. Apparently, Israel Regardie could make a cannabis fudge brownie that could kill an elephant, and he
challenge accepted.
He's came up with a really good story about it. He could say it very well. He was very clever in the way he did it, but I think he was more interested in Waite's approach rather than the Golden Dawn's approach. But that Golden Dawn stuff was Waite adjacent. And so then he became more famous for the Golden Dawn stuff, which he really didn't like. And I think it sort of annoyed him a bit. But
yeah,
that's because most people don't really like talking about Waite much. But he was.
How would you describe, or how do you think he might describe the difference in Waite's approach?
God forms magic. I mean, it's pretty clear. If you see Waite's rituals, I mean, apart from the fact that they are pretty pompous, and the way he writes his rituals are written in a very similar way to the way he writes his books. I don't think he believed in God forms. I have never seen any evidence that he used them. He certainly didn't use Egyptian ones if he did. So I think that's a fundamental point. And it was also heavily Christian. And I remember once we had a slight disagreement, and I mean, over whether or not if you use the phrase gods, Gods, in a sentence, whether or not it should be uppercase or lowercase.
Correspondence that follow.
I put it uppercase. So I don't think he might have been having a laugh, because I used to send him my papers to ask to check, and he might have just been winding me up a bit because I was a bit too earnest. But some of the stuff of the collection that's in the Grand Lodge collection, he had that in his house for an awful long time. So, I mean, we're talking about 1990. And so when I was round there, I got to play with Westcott's dagger, air dagger, which is actually a bread knife. So shows you that the art of material making has come of age since that time.
Come a long way, baby. Yeah. I mean, looking at Yates's tools, I mean, his rose his gem was just a piece of cardboard, right? It's just like just a lot of the tools were just cardboard. They had used what tools they had.
Well, the Farrell sword was a fencing sword.
Oh, no way! Oh, I would have loved that.
Yeah, and
so it seems a bit odd to use it in Magic, but
no, actually, it's quite interesting, because I've been playing around with energy use and tools lately, and if you hold a fencing sword, it's more like a gun trigger than it is bumping
especially if you're thinking of what's called a pistol grip. Yeah, and actually I have a funny. So I was, when I got my first sword, Christmas '93, I injured my arm skiing, so I couldn't get a season's pass to Whistler the next year. and get fencing gear. So I got the fencing gear. I'd already been fencing a bit, and my sword had a pistol grip in the one my mom gave me, which I had never used before, and it took me years to get comfortable on the pistol grip, and because it really locks your hand in and it forces you into good hand posture. As a result, I ended up taking over for the school's fencing teacher, and then coached at UBC and UC University College Galway. I've coached there, and the pistol grip has an amazing story. The pistol grip, apparently, according to my fencing teacher, is apparently was banned in England from certain people using it because two guys were fencing, and because it locks your hand into the grip posture like that, two guys were fencing and one attacked, and the blade caught and broke, and because they say it continued through the mask and killed the man through the helmet into the head, right? Because blades can shatter and they're sharp enough then to pierce, and the grip apparently made it impossible for him to let go or something. And my teacher said, therefore, in England, they banned pistol grip use by women.
By women, so it's okay for men to kill each other.
Two men could kill each other with a pistol grip. Imagine what a woman might do with the pistol gripped rapier.
What's the point of the pistol grip?
So I don't know if that story is actually true, but that's what my teacher told me, and she's British. So
if you hold a wand or a dagger in a pistol grip, you're actually getting a much better flow of energy into the tool. So I don't know. I just saw that they all seem to have fencing foils, so I think maybe there was something behind it, and that was
probably also less risk of impalement.
I don't know if you've done a circumambulation with the sword, you can still fillet the person in front of you.
Yeah.
Resulted in authorization to establish an English temple of what would become the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Now, whether Anna Sprengel actually existed or whether she was an invention designed to lend legitimacy to the order, that debate has raged for more than 100 years. And honestly, it almost makes the story better. Because
it hasn't raged for 100 years. It's only really raged since the 90s or 80s and 90s when the Gilbert and Thingy's book came out. That's the only time anybody questioned it. Up until then, everybody assumed that the cipher documents were legit. That is because the Golden Dawn held an inquiry. Westcott handed over the cipher documents, complete with the Sprengel note, to Waite. Waite looked at it and said, yeah, these are genuine. So it was never an issue with the Golden Dawn.
The Golden Dawn understood something profound about the nature of reality that most people miss entirely. The origin of a thing matters far less than the energy it carries and the transformation it produces.
What? No, stop. This is shit. It's not even that. It's that's saying if you lie, that is more important than the truth. Mm-hmm. That is a fundamental against everything that the Golden Dawn would say. You can't say that if you think, oh, okay, this is how your Trumpisms can exist. If you say a lie often enough and loud enough, people will believe it. But the truth is always more important, and that's what Magick's about. It's about finding truth. It's not about finding some lie and believing in it. And that's not creating reality. He's saying, oh, the Golden Dawn was creating reality. Whereas he is saying, while they're creating reality, but they're living a lie. And that's a cool thing, isn't it? And no, it's not. Just, well, they didn't do it.
Well, this is very much why we're doing this sort of thing, because this is not the version of the GD that we want people to. We don't want them to think it's part of this new age, like just create a fantasy world and live in it, live in your dream board. It's great to have dreams and goals, but don't live in this make your own reality fantasy world. We're trying to discover the root of nature in our work, rather than concoct an alternate Yeah, it's interesting. Let's keep going.
Whether the cipher manuscripts fell from the sky, were discovered in a dusty Masonic storeroom, or were found on a London bookshelf, every version of the story has been told. The system they contain worked. The rituals transformed people. The practices opened doors in consciousness that had been sealed shut, and the results were undeniable. The first English temple, Isis Urania, opened in 1888, and within just a few years, the Golden Dawn attracted some of the most brilliant minds of the age. The poet W.B. Yeats, the novelist Arthur Machen, the actress Florence Farr, the occultist Aleister Crowley, the mystic A.E. Waite, who would go on.
Yeah, the idea that Crowley was one of the most brilliant minds of his age at 25 when he joined is hilarious, but like, we won't expect this guy to have any sense of actual history, of course.
And Crowley also came in very, very late in the story, so he's not attracting the greatest minds.
He came at the end during a turbulent time with all this cash, and was probably I don't know. Do you think I think a lot about how things went when Crowley visited Mathers and how that might have played out. I've imagined it a lot as I've gotten to understand the history and the characters in it better. Yeah.
On to create the most famous tarot deck in history. The author Bram Stoker, who wrote Dracula. Algernon Blackwood, one of the greatest supernatural fiction writers who ever lived. These were
and I don't think Blackwood and Arthur Machen actually liked the Golden Dawn that much.
No, they left quite quickly, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that because they were much more interested in other things, and they'd been drawn into it through someone else, Waite, I think. And they lost interest in it really rapidly. Bram Stoker, of course, was never a member.
Yeah, no.
Accomplished, highly intelligent people. They were physicians, psychologists, clergymen, artists, and philosophers.
But there's so few people of note in the GD. Like, again, Dr. Fuller points this out in his great book, Anglo-Catholic Clergy in the Golden Dawn, right? Like, there's all these priests in it, there's actors and bohemians, there's all these different people. And there's a few people who became known publicly as novelists or poets or stuff. But, like, there's so few, he has to keep saying the same ones over and over, and then added.
And he missed the Nesbits.
He missed the
Nesbits.
Oh, yeah.
The Nesbits were really important. I mean, racist as hell, but I mean, hugely important children's writers. And I read their books when I was growing up, and I didn't know anything about them. But, I didn't know about their history. But the Nesbits were quite important. Sisters were quite important. And, yeah, if you can't read their books, are probably not in libraries anymore because they're a little bit racist, a bit like Enid Blyton. But they were hugely important in the time because, again, they were women writers, which was quite rare.
Yeah. For anyone interested, I'll just take 2 seconds to say, for anyone interested, I've started up a book club studying Hermetic Spirituality by Dr. Wouter Hanegraaff, along with Dr. Litwa's Hermetica 1 and 2. So if you're interested in joining that, it's the third Sunday of the month. You can join a channel member on YouTube, become a channel member, become a patron. We have our patron hangout next weekend, and then our book club meeting third weekend of the month. And here's a quick little snippet to tell you about that. Walk the way of Hermes and unveil the life and light of the Corpus Hermeticum, Hermetic Spirituality. Join our monthly book club to learn and meet others who seek the ancient wisdom of Hermes Trismegistus. Join via YouTube membership's book club tier and subscribe at hermeticspirituality.com. It was fun doing the music for that the other day. My buddy threw on some backing tracks. I want to make a little ad like that for your Substack that you do with Paula. And for anyone who hasn't watched the interview I did with Nick and his wonderful wife, go check it out. It was a very popular interview. She's got quite the mind on her as well. Not a light thinker, and really brought some punches to the table. So check that one out. It was a fucking blast. Pardon my French. And yeah, I want to make a little trailer like that, if you don't mind, for your Substack and stuff that I can play. Because the more trailers and little clips we can play to break up the stream, that's more fun. So Yeah, and if anyone has questions or wants to make a comment to show on screen, just give us a super chat. Thank you very much. Great to have you all here today.
They did this work because it delivered results that nothing else in their expertise could match. The Golden Dawn offered them something that churches could only promise: direct experience of the divine, personal contact with the forces that shape reality, and a systematic, repeatable technology for doing so. At the heart of the Golden Dawn system sits the Kabbalah, specifically the glyph known as the Tree of Life. And if you've spent any time studying reality creation, consciousness, or manifestation, understanding the Tree of Life will fundamentally upgrade your practice. The Tree of Life is a diagram of 10 spheres called Sephiroth,
What do the Irish say?
connected by 22 pathways.
Oak.
Each sphere represents a different mode of divine energy, a different frequency of the one universal substance from which all things emerge. The Golden Dawn taught that the universe evolved from a single source they called Ein Sof Ur, the limitless light, and that infinite ocean of
For those new to the show, Ensof or just Ensof means without limit, or means light, and usually it's shown in stages as Ensof or. Also often pronounced or and sof because Hebrew syntax is more flexible, especially Old Hebrew syntax. And then and sof and then or sorry, and so or and so and so for and sof and then n.
And dino-or.
Without. N just means without in Hebrew. Without. And sof is like, yeah, so without limit, light, and then without limit, and then without. The final stage is without. And there is more to those three stages, as David Heimsmith's many Kabbalistic texts explore, just like the ancient rabbis explored what was beyond Kether. There is a whole school of Kabbalah on that, just to clarify. And then it was Crowley that flipped it around so that it was Ensof for, Ensof, and N. And he flipped everything around just to confuse people, I think.
brilliance differentiated itself into these 10 distinct expressions. At the very top sits Kether, the crown. This is the deepest sense of selfhood, the ultimate root of being. It is the point where the
it's just slightly
off center. This person is not well. This person needs healing. This is what happens if you do not follow your middle pillar correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this man's balls have dropped.
Oh, that's funny.
The infinite first concentrates into something that can be known. Below it, the tree branches into two pillars of polarity, Chakma, or wisdom, and Bana, understanding, representing the fundamental density at the heart of all creation, masculine and feminine, active and passive, fire and water, expansion and form. These three uppermost spheres are called the supernals, and they represent the spiritual light that shines beyond ordinary human consciousness. The Golden Dawn taught that when you invoke this energy, when you open yourself to the descending power of the supernal light, it flows through your mind and sanctifies whatever magical work you are doing. This is the energy that actually creates reality. Everything else is just the vehicle. Below the supernals, you find the spheres that correspond to what we experience as consciousness and emotion. Tifereth, attributed to the sun, sits right in the center of the tree. It represents the ordinary human ego, your everyday awareness. This is significant because the Golden Dawn placed the seat of human consciousness at the exact center of the universal diagram. You are in the middle of everything. You are the balancing point of the cosmos.
Yeah, this is
below that.
Isn't it? You are the center of your own center of the universe. You're the most important thing. Look at you. You, God, I only exist for you, for your benefit. It's New Age, classic New Age.
You're the main character in your story.
Yeah, it's also not right because he's confused macrocosm and microcosm. So the macrocosm does not include that. The sun, you are in the center of your own internal solar self. That's true, but you're not the head. the sun outside that eclipsed last week isn't your personality. That's a symbol of, isn't your ID, isn't your ego. In fact, it's your higher spiritual self, the sun, if you want a symbol. So he's talking out of his ass.
You descend into the realm of the elements, the emotional life, Netzach, attributed to Venus and fire, the intellectual mind, Hod, attributed to Mercury and water, and the astral plane, Yesod, the foundation, attributed to the moon. Yesod is particularly important for reality creators because the Golden Dawn taught that this sphere is the subtle electromagnetic substance upon which the entire physical world is built. It is the final template, the blueprint, the model. Change the pattern.
Well, I mean, the physical universe is kind of all in Malkut, the kingdom, creation, right?
Yeah.
The opposite of Kether, the, potential manifestation. And Yesod is, I think, meant to be the astral, the spiritual layer before manifestation of the kingdom. And the kingdom is all creation, all of nature. All like in the Hermetic view, the Malkut would be the cosmos. And the Hermetists saw the cosmos as a daimon, but not like Yaldabaoth or some evil creator, but just something created by God that is pretty much good, mostly good, and is the result of life and light.
Also, what he's saying about the astral is interesting because it's directly opposite to what the Golden Dawn said. I mean, if you look at the things you have to memorize about what Yesod contains, shells of the dead, there's one that sticks to mind. I mean, it's ages since I remembered it, but none of those things are part of it. It is an electro. It is quite important if your magic system is based on imagination, which is, I'm saying magic system, I'm using the term loosely. His is because imagination takes place on the astral level. But
Though
the other thing about the astral
generally
level,
put it in Tiferet more than Yesod.
It's still lunar. If it's a symbol, if it's an image,
Sure.
it's Yesodic. If it's
I'm
Tiferet,
just thinking
it's
of Wang's personality on the tree. The way Wang has he puts memory in Hesed.
That's pushing it.
Memory
I
in
think that's
Hesed.
pushing.
Will in Geburah, imagination in Tiferet, desire in Netzach, and desires in your Netzach. And
I think he's pushing it far too much. Basically, the simple way to look at it is the 4-level system rather than the 10-level. I think a lot of people get confused by this, but if they look at the 4-level system of Kabbalah, it becomes a lot clearer that yes, astral is where all the images are created, all symbols, everything you use. Why it's the area where the magician operates the most. The lower part of the astral overlaps Malkuth, which is the manifestation, and the upper part overlaps Tiferet, or the Briatic level. So you've got this huge power base which a magician can work in. And so it's sort of true, but again, it's not quite true because anything that's created in the astral doesn't stay. The astral is like water, it moves. So if you just had a little daydream saying, I really like to win the lottery, you'd visualize that in accordance to the New Age principle, but then pretty soon afterwards, the astral tides would just sweep it away, usually after sunset or sunrise, because those are the times that the astral tides change. So you can see why their whole system doesn't work. It's quite good if you're doing a job interview and you really want it, and you're sitting in the waiting room, I want this job interview, I want this job, and you visualize yourself doing it. But it's not very good for long-term magic.
Pattern in Yesod, and the physical world must follow. At the very bottom sits Malkuth, the kingdom, the physical world, your body, the material plane. The Golden Dawn described it as the temple of the Holy Ghost, and beautifully as the actual tomb of Christian Rosenkreutz, the mystical founder of the
No? When did it call it that? And I don't think the actual tomb represents the body. I mean, I could be wrong,
change
but
the
I can't
pattern.
think of the time it said it, where it said that. And
Yeah, no.
Mystical founder of the Rosicrucian tradition. Your body is the tomb. Your consciousness is the light sealed within it. And the entire work of Magick is the process of resurrection, waking up inside the tomb and realizing what you truly are.
well,
When I
that's
first
interesting,
understood the
because
system,
that means
when I
he
really
hasn't seen a
grasped
5-6. You don't wake up in the tomb. You never wake up in the Golden Dawn system up into the 5-6. You do not wake up in the tomb. You discover the tomb following the legend. You lift off the coffin lid and you see your higher genius there. You don't wake up as your higher genius within the traditional Golden Dawn system. So that's not right. It's quite an important difference symbolically.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I don't mind. I love hearing you comment on those things.
the tree of life is a map of consciousness, and that moving through its spheres is identical to moving through states of awareness. It changed everything about how I approach reality creation, because the Golden Dawn was saying centuries before quantum physics that reality is structured in layers of increasingly dense vibration, and that consciousness is the force that moves between them.
What?
The Golden Dawn organized.
When did it ever say that shit?
He just
That's
had to
straight
slip
from the
by this
Kybalion.
little- Yeah. Well, that's what people in the chat are saying, is they're mentioning. This sounds like the Kybalion, and it's definitely his audience is Kybalionites and other New Agers. I mean, yeah.
Its
You
teachings
might not
into
get through the whole thing, eh?
No,
a series of grades, each corresponding to one of
We'll give it the old college try.
the Sephiroth on the Tree of Life. You began as a neophyte, literally a new plant, and worked your way up through progressively deeper imitations. The opening words spoken to
It's like he took that from an instructional video on pasta making.
Yeah,
Like
but
the little
why
noodle on the floor.
neophyte doesn't mean new plant, does it? You know Latin.
New life, yeah, like sort of. I mean, sort of. I mean, in the sense of new life, like the new life of a plant. The word "fight" in Greek might have some etymology tied to, yeah. I think etymologically the word the suffix might come from to do with from futon. So yeah, that's I was right.
So it comes bed.
Neos, new, and futon or phytos meaning plant or grown, planted, from the root phion. So fight. That's just the root word. Literally, pun not intended. It's the root word that from which we get the phrase "new life," neophyte.
every new candidate still give me chills.
But it doesn't mean literally plant. Though Steiner really ran with that idea and described the human spirit and the human soul and the life of the human very much and in hundreds of pages as compared to the life of a plant.
Yes, he would make 100 pages out of that.
Oh yeah, he could. Yeah, and none of it makes any sense in translation, of course. But that tied in because he was interested in biodynamic farming. So that's why he loved stuff like that, because he was interested in the whole spectrum of the human life and human society. He had theories on everything. Whereas Valentin Tomberg, of course, Steiner saw Tomberg sort of as the Platonist of anthroposophy, like the person to focus on the Christic, the spiritual, the heavenly, the higher realms. Whereas Steiner was more interested in people who, and Steiner thought Tomberg was great in that sense, but he felt that anthroposophy needed to be about everything: education, of course, the Waldorf schools, gardening, biodynamic farming, politics, everything. Steiner just, he
except for black people. He didn't like black people.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
no, he didn't. He said that in one of his lectures. He famously mentions it.
I don't know. I haven't seen that one, but I wouldn't either. We're talking what, 1910s, 1900? Yeah, that was a very It was a different age.
Inheritor of a dying world, we call thee to.
Huh?
They were just moving towards Nazis.
They thought some ideas had legs, and then they discovered where those legs took those ideas, and were like, oopsie, we made a mistake. Uh-oh, everyone's dead.
Mm.
But fortunately, we no longer make those mistakes in our world today, so we're all good.
Yeah.
The living beauty, wanderer in the wild darkness, we call thee to the gentle light. Long hast thou dwelt in darkness. Quit the night and seek the day. These are the words of awakening. They are describing exactly what happens when someone begins the journey of conscious reality creation. You quit the night. You leave behind the unconscious, reactive, habitual way of living that most people never escape, and step into awareness. You step into the light. Each great initiation was an elaborate ceremonial experience designed to impress specific spiritual forces upon the candidate's consciousness. The neophyte ceremony introduced the elements and the basic polarity of light and darkness. Higher grades explored earth, air, water, and fire in sequence, each element corresponding to a layer of the human psyche. By the systematically confronted and integrated, each element corresponding to a layer of the human psyche. By the time you reached the grade of Adeptus Minor, you had systematically confronted and integrated every fundamental force in your being. This is brilliant psychological technology disguised as ritual. Carl Jung himself noted the similarity between these magical practices and the processes he observed.
No, he didn't. Carl Jung never mentioned the Golden Dawn at all. He just made that up. You're so shocked you've gone silent.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's what I discovered doing these reviews is people are just making stuff up, man, because they don't realize. A lot of people don't realize, are very shocked. Like, they start talking about Golden Dawn before they discover that there's any groups out there at all, or that there's anyone who's studied it in any serious way. They don't know that. They think they're the first to, like, you know. And someone has a theory here. Smil Still, nice, thanks for the comment. Says, I believe it went HOGD, Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, to Theosophism, to New Thought, to Kabbalion, not HOGD to Kabbalion.
No, it's Theosophical. Yeah. I can't say it either. Was first.
Theosophical Society came first, then HOGD,
then HOGD,
then New Thought.
But I'd say that New Thought came from the HOGD. Came from Theosophical.
Yeah.
More than it came from Golden Dawn. I don't think Golden Dawn had any touch with it at all.
No.
Except in the Builders of the Adytum, which incorporated New Thought and the Kabbalion into its operations. So, yeah, with them it did, but that was because they had very little else to offer initially.
Yeah. I might throw out another couple memes if you don't mind throughout this thing, if it doesn't bother you too much.
In his clinical work, Jung found that when his patients painted symbolic designs, mandalas, geometric patterns, images from the unconscious, it straightened out knots in their psyche and produced genuine healing. The Golden Dawn had been doing this systematically for decades before Jung wrote a single word about it. The grade system was essentially a curriculum for expanding consciousness, and what makes it extraordinary is that it worked whether you fully understood what was happening or simply performed the rituals with sincerity. The symbols and ceremonies bypassed the rational mind and spoke directly to the unconscious. They activated something deep inside the practitioner, something that many traditions called the higher self, the holy guardian angel, or what the Golden Dawn called the higher.
They're not the same thing. Holy guardian angel is not the same thing as the higher self.
But I discovered why people think they are. Do you know why?
Crowley?
Everyone in the chat knows. Everyone in the chat knows why. It's because
the people are retarded.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, yeah, that's the conflation that I think Crowley wanted to achieve. Though I think Crowley, when he started calling, I think Crowley wasn't. I don't know. It's so interesting. Like, was Crowley using the term Holy Guardian Angel because he had sort of done an Abramelin type thing,
Yeah,
or
he
was
saw
he
it.
calling it, or was he renaming the Yahida as the Holy Guardian Angel in his system? Because he's the point of conflation that I see.
Yeah, I think it's a mistake he made, and I think it got
Just
repeated
lack of,
thereafter.
he didn't spend he just lack of study.
Research. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the Holy Guardian Angel had a clear function within Christianity, and it wasn't anything like a higher genius, which is pretty much, I mean, unless you call your higher genius your soul, which is borderline heresy, I think.
Yeah, no, because well, especially in a Hermetic tradition where the soul is something very distinct, it's you. But the higher genius, the daimon, your nous, is all the same thing. It's a spirit, but it's not the same as your soul. Your soul and your spirit, your daimon, are two different things in the Hermetica, quite distinctly. And it's only if you are initiated on the way of Hermes that your soul then rises up and unites with your holy daimon. You get the tunic of fire and fly off to become like a star god or angel.
Yeah.
I'm being very, very loose.
Whereas the Holy Guardian Angel is something that sits on your shoulder and protects you and tells you what to do, so that you don't stray. And you're told. There's also a Holy Guardian Demon, which nobody ever talks about, but he sits on the other shoulder. I mean, this is a cartoon idea from Disney, but it actually is part of medieval tradition. A medieval baptism, you're told, don't listen to your holy guardian, your guardian demon, and don't piss off your holy guardian angel. I'm paraphrasing, but that was
of course we're speaking loosely because we can't be here all day and all night for you. A question though, so for those who are interested in the Abramelin, Nick has a great book adapting it for pagans called Helios Unbound that is highly recommended. So check out Nick Farrell's Helios Unbound for a pagan approach to the Holy Guardian, to the Abramelin operation. But I wanted to ask you, Nick, so I only recently, for the first time ever, finally got the German translation of the Abramelin here by Georg Dane, translated by Stephen Guth and forward by Lon. And so the Holy Guardian Angel has always been this Christian idea, and it was always strange to me that people talked about the Abramelin as a Jewish ritual. But then, I saw a debate happening online over a year ago with Aaron Leach and some others about when to start the ritual. And I didn't have this, and it surprised me that they were saying, oh, you should start it on Passover, because that's what this, and sure enough, that's what this says. It says, on the first morning after Passover, clean your body and put on new clothes. Well, that would make you think it's a Jewish ritual, but my German version that this was translated from doesn't say Passover. It says Osten, which is German for Easter, which makes a lot more sense because it seemed like a Christian.
I think there's a sort of a problem with this Christian thing. The idea is good.
I'm confused. Clarify.
I think the idea of Abramelin is really good. Okay, you do 6 months concentrating on trying to get something, praying, doing all these things, and then you go away and you have your final meeting with all the forces that stand in your way in life. Now that's a brilliant idea, but I think the Abramelin that gets translated and is used a lot and everything else is a little bit like, I don't know if you got them over the pond, but in England they had Finbar, and they were books which were basically cobbled together from manuscripts and put out quite cheap. And the idea was that if you followed this, you'd have all these secret powers. And there was lots of things in them about they're very similar to Abramelin. If you do this, you have to be careful. Don't allow this book to fall into other people's hands. All these sorts of things, which are the stock and trade of someone who's peddling an idea beyond what it's really intended to be. So I think that Abramelin is a mixture of Jewish and Christian because it looks simple. There's a simple operation system designed to get money out of people. And if you go through the system, at the end of it, you get a magic system that's based around magic squares, which is not the highest form of magic I can think of. And I think it seems to me very, the idea is good, but it's mostly talked up itself. And people are now falling over it because they're taking it very seriously. So when I redid it for pagans, I filled it. Because, for example, you spend 6 months of it just praying to whatever god you want half an hour. And you're not going to get much out of that for 5 or 6 months, if you do that for 5 or 6 months, or whatever extended period you take. So if you're giving a certain amount of exercises, you will get an effect. It may not be talking to your holy guardian angel or whatever, but I don't know. Having studied it, played around with it, and also tried my own version of it, think that it's a bit meh. I wouldn't give it as much authority that people give it. And I certainly wouldn't start calling things my holy guardian angel because of it.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I'm not an Abramelin person either, but again, I do find it very interesting. Jorge says, Sledge and Ziwas episode on the 8th book of Moses has definitely thrown new light into the ritual of the book of Abramelin. I tried to watch that, and it was removed. Sledge unlisted it, and then reposted it with the Ziwas interview at the end cut out. And I tried to find out why, so I went to her Patreon, and apparently they've been in quite the row, Dr. Sledge and Dr. Ziwas. Dr. Ziwas is a German professor, I believe she's German, at University of Heidelberg. Great town. If you ever want to see a gorgeous German town, go to Heidelberg. And they were having a big fight publicly. Really got quite rough. And Ziwas wasn't credited in the episode title or in the notes. And I won't go into the details of the fallout, but it's been quite the ish show. It's been quite the ish show. So unfortunately, I can't watch that interview with those two. So those who caught it in time are very lucky to have seen it. And that's unfortunate. And it's unfortunate those two are fighting. Though, you know, it's still on Sledge's Patreon. Okay, good to know. Thanks, Sean. Yeah, Sean's a friend from he's a PhD dude, a friend from Dr. Litwa's crew, and also he's also a supporter, a student of Angela Puka. So good to see you, Sean. Thanks for being in the chat.
Divine genius. Now we arrive at the practices themselves, the techniques that the Golden Dawn developed and refined, which are still used by serious practitioners of magic all over the world. And when I say magic, I mean the art of causing change in consciousness and in the external world through the directed use of will, imagination, and energy. That is the oldest and most accurate definition there is. The LBRP, the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, which I have taught and have several episodes on.
Oh, he teaches that.
Where every Golden Dawn...
Oh no, we're gonna have to talk. I'm gonna have to cover that. What? This is gonna be crazy.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
We're gonna get nuts with his LBRP video, people. I promise you. Stay tuned for next time. Oh my goodness. So, but I'm curious. You know, maybe he does his events in Austin. Maybe he'll come to ENOCHIACON and
far too high level for him.
And then but he might like it. You know, I'm a teacher, man. I'm an educator. I'm not trying to mock people. I'm trying to educate them and bring them in. And a little playful teasing at the same time is always.
Is that really him or is that AI?
No, this is a guy. He does big events like conferences in Austin on how to make money. They're all just, if you look at his website, yeah, he does new age, The Secret, money attraction. It's all about money attraction courses, which of course that's the biggest industry to be in if you want to be I don't know.
And you have no soul.
I mean, it's just so shallow.
It doesn't work.
Vapid. Like, you can't worship God and mammon.
Yeah, it's not even that. It's just that it doesn't work. I mean, I've seen so many broke magicians doing endless rituals to win the lottery, and it doesn't work. It's because there is something there. If it was that easy, every magician would be extremely wealthy because we all have tried it. And anyone who says we haven't done rituals for magic, for money, is lying. They've all done it. I used my old teachers.
We did a ritual. There was a Jupiter-Mercury conjunction on the 18th. We did a beautiful ritual for that, for different reasons. I found it very effective, but I don't find like long-term gain to be something Magic is good at creating financially.
No.
That's the best way to do that, I think, still is the S&P and Dow Jones, whether we like it or not. You want to see
money works. Money works according to material. It's a materiality. Money is a symbol of money. So the thing is that if you're working with it, it follows its own rules, and you have to follow those rules. It's simple as that. But you can deal with short-term problems, like you can improve your business. You can, in general terms, you can improve your business. You can improve those moments where you need magic to work. But just generally looking for cash to appear from the money fairy is never going to happen. And I think the satisfaction I get out of people who say it is being broke is probably not tremendously evolved of me, but I think, having sat through all these lectures from these types of people saying, oh, you're only poor because it's your fault, and then they become poor, and you think, can't really, must be just something else like fate.
Yeah, careful about that whole prosperity gospel thing, because fate is a son of a bitch, and has a long arm with which to bitch slap us when we
it's huge. It's I mean, you're talking about hubris of all levels in the prosperity gospel, and
this
people that follow it.
that deserves to be shown.
If it worked,
tax magic. Yeah.
If it worked, you could tax magic.
I don't know if I'd want to gamble the outcome of my tax season on magic. I think I'd want to. I think I might prefer to listen to my Indian accountant down the street. She's a sharp cookie. Also, she's reconsidering moving to Canada since doing Canadians' taxes and realizing how screwed we are. She was telling me, she's like, I think I made the wrong decision moving here, and since I've been working as a tax accountant. I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, I think you guys are in trouble. Or I'm like, well, you're here too now. So thank you for the super sticker, Sean. Very much appreciated. Yeah. Unknown Philosopher says the start dates are the same. Ziwa says that Mithras ritual is likely the same. That's interesting. Yeah. And And so, yeah, I guess that lecture is still on Sledge's Patreon, which I guess is sort of unfortunate because Dr. Ziwa's whole thing is like, if she's going to be, if her original research is going to be used, she wants credit. So now she doesn't have her name on YouTube with his account associated with the research, but his fans still get it. Yeah, I do agree with her. There's something slightly unethical in the way this whole situation's played out. But again, I don't want to get involved. It's not my mess. I'll leave these PhDs to fight over academic propriety. And I'll stay here with you, Nick, snarking away and sharing our love of history and magic with the universe.
Are we going to get? Are we going to get this guy with the lesser banishment? Because we could. This is going to take hours if he's going to go into this.
Should we just jump to his LBRP video? Should we?
That's now, isn't it?
I don't know where. Oh, maybe I don't know.
Okay, give it a shot.
Every serious practitioner still begins today. It's what they do before every Law of One session. Damien Eccles, who I consider one of the greatest living teachers.
This is amazing. He's talking about our bro, Damien. I wonder if Damien knows he's featured. I mean, Damien's everywhere because he's famous. But yeah.
The Magick has said that performing the LBRP and the middle pillar exercise daily for 1 solid year will produce effects in your life comparable to being initiated into the inner ring of the Golden Dawn itself.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, that's the story. That's the myth Crowley started telling people, right? So his AA initiates are told as soon as they're initiated into the AA to make all their Golden Dawn Adeptus tools, because being the first degree in the AA is the equivalent of being 5-6 in the Golden Dawn. And there's Golden Dawn orders run by guys who claim 5-6 because they did first degree AA. Well-known orders, too, that we both know.
Yeah, whereas I just say the AA in that case are the Alcoholics Anonymous.
So that's where that idea came from, that just stepping into this practice from the beginning instantly makes you a black belt equivalent. But the sad thing about that as a teacher is there's nowhere for students to go then. If you tell them right away, first day, all right, you're a master, where's the growth? Where's the transformation? Where's the journey? There's just no journey. You can do that. You can give students their first day
it's the
class,
banishing.
Then what happens next? Also, it's the banishing, right? We've covered this ad nauseum, but we can also mention that, right? It's the secondary form of the ritual. How do you personally determine these days whether you should do a LBRP or not?
If something is burning a hole in the carpet, is poking me with a fork or going for my throat, I might consider using a banishing. Otherwise, it's invoking. I don't do the sunrise and sunset pentagrams because I think that's silly. I can't see the point. It's like doing a ritual for the sake of doing a ritual, and it's not actually helping. It's much, much better to use just the invoking most of the time. Bear in mind that Farrell, in its 68-year history in its temple, never used a banishing pentagram ever. So, a ritual that was not done in their temple. And I have seen similar groups that spun off from that, and they don't do it either. So it's not something that's done. And Annie Horniman wrote a letter which was circulated amongst adepts saying she noticed that those who did banishings too often suffered from demagnetism, which is sleeplessness, tiredness, weakness. And given the fact the whole purpose of the pentagram is to strengthen your sphere of sensation, it's best to do invoking always. Well, nearly always. I have actually used it if I wanted to do a ritual that involved making something go away, an exorcism, or something. If I wanted to lose something, you could use a banishing for that, but it's not that common.
Honored Frater here is making a joke. What? You mean working my ass off for years is equivalent to LBRPs and middle pillars? Anyway, yeah. Yep.
A practice that you can do in your bedroom every single day that carries the accumulated spiritual force of over a century of dedicated practitioners. That is the power of what the Golden Dawn created.
I also joked, Nick, on one of my LBRP review videos, like, especially all the people visualizing them blue and banishing their, like, banishing emotions from their material world and body. They're banishing their emotions because they can't handle it because they're too much.
My emotions! My emotions!
Classic childish Gambino for you there.
The LBRP involves standing in the center of your space, tracing pentagrams in the 4 cardinal directions while vibrating divine names and visualizing archangels standing guard at each quarter. Raphael in the east with the quality of air, Michael in the south with the blazing force of fire.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, never happened. Didn't happen. It's not in the script. So why do people keep saying it? And as you said, I mean, I visualize the angels standing there, but it's not in the script either. It just says before me, behind me, above me, below me, and that's all there is. Those aren't
Why do you need to
elements
visualize something when it's already there?
Yeah. You're making a statement that it's there. But the thing is there's no elemental force there, and that would be very confusing if there were. So the people who use it elementally are really screwing with their sphere of sensation.
Yep. Yeah, we talk about that is now a major theme on the channel.
Gabriel in the west with the deep power of water, and Uriel in the north with the stability of earth. You are standing at the center of a cross of light surrounded by flaming pentagrams and angelic presences. This is imaginative technology at its finest. You are using your body, your voice, your breath, and your visualization to create an energetic space, a sacred container in which transformation can occur. The Golden Dawn understood that the imagination is the primary creative faculty of the human being. They understood that when you build a vivid, emotionally charged inner image and sustain it with focused will, reality reorganizes itself around that image. Sound familiar?
No, it doesn't.
It should.
That you are so not. Oh God. Balls.
Exactly here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just bollocks, really, isn't it? You just think, oh, I'm so damn important. Whatever I think, the whole universe will just organize itself around what I want. It's like you're a spoiled child screaming at the universe, saying, "I want more pudding," and Mummy brings you more pudding. It's just stupid, and it's not how magic works. It's not how a grown up behaves, and it's exactly New Age thought.
Well, you know what the New Age would say to that.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
That the Golden Dawn and the Neville Goddard lineage converge in the most fascinating way. Here's where this story gets personal. Israel Regardie was the man who published the complete Golden Dawn system in 1937, breaking the oath of secrecy that had protected these teachings for 50 years. He was also Aleister Crowley's personal secretary in the early 1930s. He was a trained psychotherapist who combined Reiki and bodywork with ceremonial magic.
Where does this trained psychotherapist come from? He was a
He was
chiropractor.
He also followed what's the guy Reich.
He was a Reichian chiropractor, not a psychologist. No training, no official.
Well, Reich was psychology at one point.
Yeah,
he got into UFOs, and
he also
funny
got
boxes.
into a lot of other really creepy shit. Jason Lou did a breakdown on Reich's.
But he was the father of Kate
side.
Bush, so he did really well.
Did he? Was he the father of Kate Bush?
You've not seen the video, have you?
I don't know. Really
she was really into it, Reich.
Orgone.
And wrote a song called "Running Up That Hill." And in the video, we all know that song. Yeah, she's the daughter of Reich in the video.
I had no idea, for any of you Stranger Things fans out there or Kate Bush fans, that is a bit of new information of running up that. That's wild.
You're muted again.
Sorry, you just imagine people sitting in the Reich Orgone boxes, and raising their energy. Wink, wink.
He was, by any standard, one of the most knowledgeable.
There's not much room in an orgone box to even have a wank.
Nope. I think that's part of the idea. You had to suffer for the spiritual power of your bodily fluids, and now I feel like I'm quoting Dr. Strangelove.
Experienced magical practitioners of the 20th century, and Israel Regardie personally knew Neville Goddard. In his 1946 book, The Romance of Metaphysics, Regardie devoted an entire section to profiling Neville. He attended Neville's lectures at the Old Actors Church on 49th Street in New York City, where 400 to 500 people gathered multiple nights a week to hear this electrifying teacher from Barbados speak about the creative power of imagination. Regardie described Neville as a dynamic, handsome, and thoroughly disarming personality whose presentations of truth were forceful and sincere. He recognized that Neville's method, the practice of entering a drowsy meditative state and imagining the feeling of the wish fulfilled until it hardens into fact, was the distilled essence of everything the ceremonial magic traditions had been working toward. And here's the line that should stop every reality creator in their track.
I mean, it is possible. I have no idea of what happened to Regardie in this part of his life, so it's a gap in my knowledge and I don't understand it. But I would have thought that all the history that Regardie had suddenly being told creative visualization is better. And what I know of Regardie is a bit of a cynic. I don't think that's necessarily likely. I could be wrong, but if I was sitting in a thing like that, I wouldn't be thinking what Regardie thought. And Regardie was sending letters back at this point to Britain, where he was not saying any of these things. So this may not be true, but suddenly making Regardie a disciple of the New Age is very unlikely, particularly since he went back to the Golden Dawn after. I think he left the Golden Dawn and he left Magick more or less because it interfered with his career, and he didn't want to be associated with or caught with that particular stigma of magic. I mean, I'm guessing, but it is strange that when he retired, he went straight back to it and started publishing again.
Yeah, well, and the rest is history, as we say. I mean, we owe a lot of our experiences, both you and I, to the Ciceros and the results of Regardie's later in life decisions. Someone says, Yevgeny Burstrus something says, songs are neutral, safe, anything from Nickelback. I just want to use that opportunity to say, go to the Magick in the Media podcast or YouTube show, because the interview I did for 3 hours with them on the singular topic of Maynard James Keenan, and I also share a bunch of my stories from my journalism career when I was a rock journalist, including my Nickelback story, my legendary Nickelback. It's the first time I told the whole thing. So go check out Magick in the Media. The episode drops either today or tomorrow or any day now. Maybe it dropped yesterday. I don't know. But go check out my new interview for 3-hour deep dive and geek out session with Brandon Lee there on Maynard Keenan and rock journalism. Yeah, okay.
Israel Regardie, the man who published the entire Golden Dawn system, the man who studied under Crowley, the man who knew more about Western ceremonial magic.
But he didn't really even study under Crowley. He worked for Crowley, and Crowley didn't really teach him much, which is according to Regardie himself.
He taught him how to play chess.
Yeah.
He said he taught him how to play chess. He didn't learn any magic from Crowley, which is why he got pissed off and left. Yeah. He also didn't. The other thing he didn't do was he did 7 Golden Dawn rituals in his life until he retired. I mean, and most of those he had a blindfold on, so he was not an expert in ceremonial magic unless he did it somewhere else. And I don't know. Again, it's a hole in a story, because in my story he doesn't appear until he and Chick get together again, and that's when he becomes part of the history of the story, the modern Golden Dawn that I know of. But he didn't. He was not. His book on ceremonial magic, which I read, which is The Watchtowers, is probably the worst approach I can think of for doing the supreme pentagrams I can imagine. It's just tortuous, long, boring, and unnecessary. Also, another fact that Tony Fuller once told me was that, a lot more politely than I'm going to say it, to get your ZAM, you have to use Z documents for a ritual. And Regardie wrote all his Z document rituals, and they are what is in the Golden Dawn book. They're not official talisman rituals or anything else. And what's important about those rituals was that they weren't regarded by the Bristol Temple as being particularly good. They were overwordy. And I can remember I was doing the God form of, I was trying to do a Jupiter working from the Golden Dawn book in the 90s. And I was going through this long Jupiter invocation, which is in the book. You can read it. And I got down to the bottom page, and I had the God form of Jupiter all sorted out. It was there. And I looked, and the first thing it did was flip over the 3 pages or something of evocation and said, out loud, do I have to read the rest of this crap? So he wasn't a good ritualist at all. He overwrote everything. And
it's what's led to the golden people thinking that all our rituals are stodgy, stuffy, drawn out, overcomplicated. Okay.
Than almost anyone alive, said of Neville Goddard, of all the metaphysical systems with which I am acquainted, Neville's is the most magical. Let that sink in. The master of ceremonial magic looked at all the elaborate rituals, all the pentagrams and hexagrams and divine names and angelic invocations, and declared that the most magical system he had ever encountered was one man standing on a stage telling people to close their eyes and imagine. This is staggering. And it reveals something essential about the nature of...
If he believed that, he wouldn't have gone back to the Golden Dawn then, or alchemy, or any of the other things he did in his spiritual life. I noticed somebody made a comment. What was it?
Yeah, Jorge.
No, someone... Watchtowers. Yeah. Now, Pat Beeman had a problem with watchtowers. That Israel Regardie said she didn't have to do the outer order because he made her do watchtowers every day for 5 years, I think it was. The only problem is that when she couldn't remember how to do them. Now, every time she was asked to do the watchtower ritual to open a temple or something like that, she could never do it. Now, I saw her make a proper pig's ear of the watchtowers. Now, if I'd done a ritual for every day for 5 years, I would remember which directions the pentagrams went, which pentagrams to use, and not go anti-clockwise when I should be going clockwise. She did everything like a novice. I met her in England before she died, and I felt sorry for her at that point, but she taught a lot of bad things, and that was one of them.
So I actually found the evidence, apparently. So apparently the Regardie wrote an essay called Neville, a portrait about Neville Goddard, originally published as part of the Romance of Metaphysics book and later reprinted in Neville collections. Regardie describes Neville in unusually immediate observational terms. Near Broadway on 49th Street in New York City, and it's the Old Actors Church, you will hear Neville discourse on capital T truth. He describes Neville's appearance, manner, delivery, audience size, and personality, calling him a, quote, dynamic, handsome, and most charming personality, and commenting on his smile, sincerity, and speaking style. So, but apparently there's a incongruency. Penguin Random House identifies Neville, a portrait, as 1947, while the Romance of Metaphysics' bibliography dated it earlier, depending on the source. So there's some debate as to whether they met in 47 or 46, apparently. But that's about it. So he wrote an article about him. So there we go. That's where this guy would have gotten that information then.
He didn't become a student of him or anything else like that.
Yeah, he's sounds like he's overselling it just a wee bit.
Magic itself. All the ceremony, all the regalia, all the symbolic architecture of the...
Oh, here's something. Occultology, friend of the show, moderator of my channel. Thank you, brother, for moderating. I need more moderators. Opening by Watchtower is unnecessary. So while the opening by Watchtower is not even based on the supreme ritual, the pentagram, it's based on ritual K, as we call it, the consecration of the vault. So is it unnecessary? Yeah, it's kind of redundant, I guess, is one way to look at the opening by Watchtower. I personally like the opening by Watchtower. I don't do the full drawn out one that Rigardi has in his ceremonial magic book.
And rattling chains like a...
Yeah, he
like a dead ghost.
It starts at an odd place. Like again, you can see. I don't know what. I don't want to tell people that they can't do opening by Watchtowers. Is the thing. If people like doing that, I don't think they should. Yeah, okay, then go for it.
I'll tell you, don't do it. It's simple. It's not part of the Golden Dawn tradition. It does nothing. It does nothing to anybody. It's mixed up. It's pompous, purple, and it's much easier just to do the Supremes followed by the purification and consecration, and then you're home twice. It's twice as fast, and it's time for tea and biscuits.
Jolly good. Thank you, good sir.
Golden Dawn, every single piece of it existed for one purpose: to train the imagination, to develop the practitioner's ability to create vivid, emotionally charged inner states, and to sustain them with absolute conviction. The rituals were the training wheels. The imagination was always the engine. Neville had somehow arrived at the destination without needing the elaborate vehicle. His teacher, Abdullah, the mysterious Ethiopian rabbi who trained him for 5 years, gave him the direct method. And Rigardi, with his encyclopedic knowledge of the entire West...
Yeah, I think...
Are we really taking this seriously?
We'll just let...
an Ethiopian rabbi who trained me for 5 years on how to daydream. I mean... Sorry. Come on. This is just...
Western magical tradition recognized...
This is so far off the Golden Dawn, it's not funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's gone. He's gone. Yeah, I mean, he's just. This is trying to get his new age visualization thing in. Visualization is an important part of Golden Dawn magic. In path working and in ritual and general work, it's quite important. It's not being done the way he's doing it, and certainly not the way he's saying it's done. So I think. It's problematic at best to place it. An Arab named Ethiopian rabbi. Well, I mean, if you've got all three, tea and biscuits is and red wine. If you haven't got tea and biscuits, red wine's really important.
Yeah, I miss red wine. I've been off sugar almost this entire year so far, and it's been great for my hands. But boy, yeah, it sucks not to have just even one glass of wine here and there. It really does. But such is the price we pay for our health, right?
Yeah. In the same boat.
That Neville's approach was the purest expression of the principle that all magic ultimately serves. I've read all of Neville's lectures. I've recorded them, studied them, lived them. And when I discovered Rigardi, the Golden Dawn's greatest chronicler, considered Neville the ultimate magician, it confirmed something I had felt for years. The imagination is the supreme magical instrument. Everything else is scaffolding. Be sure to check out the episode where I read Israel Rigardi's chapter from that book. Among the Golden Dawn's most powerful practices, and one that bridges directly into modern reality creation work, is the middle pillar exercise. This technique was emphasized by Rigardi above.
Right.
Of all the rituals he could have said would do what he just said it would do, I did not expect him to say the middle pillar.
Oh, of course not. It's the only thing he can say. It's the only thing that... Middle pillar is Israel Rigardi's. He even said it was his. he said that if everybody did it every day, they would achieve enlightenment. And he used the word enlightenment. It's bollocks.
Well,
it's not part of the Golden Dawn.
Yeah,
it has
that's
uses,
the basis
but it's not.
of yeah, it has uses. We use it. It's a good exercise that can be used in lots of different ways. But yeah, to turn it into the entire initiatory path in the way that Liam Thomas Christopher does, and the way that some people try to use it, it's almost like they're confusing it with rising in the planes or just initiation in general, whereas it's not an initiatory practice.
If you want to see it done really well, there's a book called Tower of Alchemy by David Goddard, which is a ripoff of the SOL course. And that
is it
combined with My Magical Imagination. Mine takes the same techniques from the SOL course and place, because the idea is your middle pillar becomes an inner kingdom. That was my take on it. David's was the alchemy of middle pillar and everything else. But at least that course had something to do with Rigardi. I mean, Rigardi, I think, wrote the first bits of it. We used to use Israel Rigardi's Art of True Healing as its course, as its manual. So all those things are quite important, but the middle pillar is only, as far as the Golden Dawn is concerned, you only really need to do it for about 6 weeks and then just get rid of it, because it's done its work after 6 weeks. It's aligned all the subtle bodies. You've got all the divine names in a line, and you know what they are. I don't think it has any real use, and the breathing is confusing because it's done in lots of different ways, and depending on who you talk to, whether you circulate the force that way or that way, upside down. Every group I have been in has a different way of doing it, and again, not particularly fond of it because it's that nebulous. So
also in the Golden Dawn system, it doesn't come into play in any form until Philosopher's and Portal.
No, even then,
so it's
not a philosopher.
So it's exercises that fit into the initiatory framework at the higher grades in a traditional sense, to understand it traditionally.
Almost all others as the foundation of practical magical work. The middle pillar corresponds to the central column of the tree of life. In this practice, you visualize a sphere of brilliant white light above your head, the Kether center, your connection to the infinite. You vibrate divine name Ehie, which translates as
doing the Kiwi pronunciation. Kether.
No, it was a South African. It's going to be South African, so it's going to be Kether.
As I am, the same name God gave to Moses from the burning bush, and the same principle Neville Goddard placed at the absolute center of his teaching. You then draw the light down through a series of energy centers along your body: the throat, Da'ath, the heart,
and it's
Tifereth.
Very important to visualize them slightly off center.
And down a bit, so most people's soles are their knees.
Hey, even I am fast and loose with graphics sometimes. That's why we're calling this noose and nonsense.
Region Yesod, and the feet Malkuth. Each center is activated with its own divine name, its own color, its own frequency. By the time you complete the exercise, you've established a column of divine light running from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet. You have become the living tree of life. Damien Eccles practiced this exercise for hours every day while he sat on death row for nearly 2 decades. A man wrongfully convicted of murder, locked in a concrete cell, beaten by guards so severely he urinated blood, and he used this practice from the Golden Dawn to maintain his sanity, to feed his spirit.
He also says that the main ritual that helped him was the analysis and some of the other advanced rituals as well. I don't think he attributes. I think the middle pillar definitely helped him maintain balance, because the middle pillar is a great ritual for balancing in my experience and raising energy. But yeah, Damien Eccles was doing all the rituals he could do, of course, as you would do if you're wrongfully convicted on death row, of course.
It just
Damien
amuses
Eccles,
me
shout
that
out,
this guy
friend
though
of the show.
is using him,
I
and
know.
then suddenly going off on a tangent to try and look. This is what
Yep.
he's famous. He's famous.
Look, I'm just
Let's
like
follow
Damien
that.
Eccles.
Yeah.
This is why Damien Eccles is now like one of the many reasons. I mean, well, Marco's the main reason that Damien's like just doesn't want to be a part of the occult magical world anymore. That's like, you know, I invited him to a conference. He's like, look, man, I just don't want to be a part of the magical world anymore. He's doing his sword training. Check out his sword
Yeah, I know. I
workshops
saw.
and retreats. Yeah, that's great. I really want to go to one. I'm going to be doing a broadsword course, Italian broadsword, traditional Renaissance Italian broadsword fighting in September, doing a 4-week 8-class course to try something new and, you know, get a bit more exercise. So yeah, it's great what Damien's doing, and check out my interview with Damien on the podcast. It's obviously the one with over 10,000 views. It's easy to find.
And ultimately generate the energy that contributed to his freedom. Damien has described how he would spend 8 hours a day doing magical work in his cell. He would trace pentagrams in the air, vibrate divine names, circulate energy through the middle pillar centers. And he has said openly that the Wicca of his youth seemed superficial once he encountered the Golden Dawn system, because the Golden Dawn offered a precise, systematic technology for transforming consciousness. I love Damien Eccles, and I'm really hopeful that we're going to get him on the program and interview him. I believe he's one of the best teachers of magic currently alive.
Good luck. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah, basically, come and join me in my grift, Damien.
Though Damien does have a new book coming out, and he did say, I believe, if I recall correctly, I believe he did say he would come back on my podcast to talk about his new book. I'd have to reread the messages, but I believe he did say that actually. So there's some breaking news. And hopefully he does.
He's not going to appear on a business
I always tell him the
visualization
same thing. I always tell him the same thing. I'm like, man, look, I always say, Damien, like, you don't owe anyone anything. Just go be happy. Go live your life, you know, and don't feel bad about not being able to be there and give your fans like, you know, he's paid. He's done. Yeah.
Because he proved something that most people only theorize about, that these practices work even in the most extreme conditions imaginable.
Oh yeah, so Sean says Disin Wicca now. I actually let me say I'm excited to say I've been accepted to present at WitchCon. It's an online pagan conference. So I'm presenting, and what I'm presenting is like, so I love Wicca. I started with Wicca and Celtic Druidry in the Llewellyn early 90s days. And so my presentation will be on the fact that Wicca comes out of Golden Dawn tradition and draws its basic framework from the Golden Dawn. So my presentation at this witch conference is going to be on what other things Wicca could pull from the Golden Dawn, rather than be embarrassed of its origins and be like, oh no, we're not matrilineal witches going back to the Middle Ages that descend from Atlantis. Oh no. Rather than being all fussy about the fact that Wicca is what Wicca is, why not extract some other? There's really a lot of good goddess stuff in the GD and a lot of other cool stuff that Wiccans could embrace if they got over this desire to, you know, be embarrassed about coming out of the Golden Dawn and Hermetic tradition.
The Nissi manuscripts. The Nissi manuscripts were bought by Doreen Valiente, and they're covered with her notes, which she took to Gardner. And so this is why they're drawing pentagrams in the air, because that's a Golden Dawn technique, and it didn't exist anyway, and it didn't appear before. There's certain stages within Wicca where they were originally using Key of Solomon stuff with whips and being naked and stuff like that, but then Doreen showed up with her Nissi manuscripts and gave them to him, and suddenly they're drawing pentagrams in the air, and they do it slightly differently. They invoke to open the temple and banish to close it, but it's still banishing and invoking pentagram.
Yeah. Hey Brian, thanks for mentioning the volume issue. Yeah, I ended my last live stream, actually the last two, with a little live music on guitar and Irish bouzouki. As a result, I turned off my auto volume leveling, so you reminded me to turn it on now. Folks, if you're ever on my show and the video is fuzzy or the sound isn't right, let me know. I can usually fix it or control that, and sometimes I forget to hit a
I'm
setting
going to have to
there.
go.
Yeah, brother.
Soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So if
Just
anybody
you
wants
say
to ask any
when.
questions, I think
Yeah.
once moves to questions might be better.
I think most people have just been enjoying listening to, what we're saying. I haven't seen any explicit questions about directed at us because they see I think most people understand what's happening here is sort of the video is asking questions for us, right? The video is serving as the question asker, and our commenting and highlighting things serves as giving answers to those unasked questions by the video. So yeah. So if anyone does have questions before Nick goes, get them in right now. There's a slight delay between us talking and what they hear. So yeah, get your questions in. We'll let them roll in a bit. And maybe while they do, I'll just remind you that we have our conference coming up in November. And here's a 1-minute clip to encourage you to get your questions and comments in. And it's very important to take advantage of Nick's time while we have him, and also register for the conference coming up online or in person. The Arcane Research Society returns to bring esoteric scholarship and practice in 2026 with 2 major events held in Austin, Texas. Register for an annual membership and attend online or in person all of our annual events, including June 13th, our spring workshop, and November 6th through 8th, ENOCHIACON, our full esotericism conference. The ARS Spring Workshop features 3 workshops led by Jason Louv, Craig Williams, and Frater RC. Spend a whole day in downtown Austin, Texas, enjoying these hands-on deep dives with experts in their fields. Register today for all live events included with ARS annual membership, Spring Workshop, and ENOCHIACON, which features too many amazing presenters to name. Sign up today at arcaneresearchsociety.com. All right. Yeah. So, yeah, and hopefully we'll get you and Paula to the ENOCHIACON in Prague in 2027. That would be amazing. Yeah, the spring workshop went great. There's been delay editing the footage from it due to all the delays that happened this summer that I've had to deal with. I'll talk more fully about that another time, because we have Nick Farrell here, and here's the question that came in while we were doing. Why does this guy have such a New Age Gaia Corp version of the HOGD? That is a fair question. Why? Why is this happening to us, Nick? Why?
It's because this has happened before. I mean, this is exactly what happened with. It's because people see it as a brand. They don't see it as a system or anything else that they're printing. It's a brand that they don't have to think about because there's a book written on it and they just quote the book. I mean, there was a case where a famous Golden Dawn leader wanted to form a cult, and he went into an occult bookshop and looking for a basis for this cult, and Regarde's book fell off the shelf, and so he formed a Golden Dawn cult. And there it was. I mean, all the teaching was there, the rituals were there, everything he needed, and then he could focus on the culty bits. This case,
this goes back. This is not new, right? This is what the Horus couple did to the original order. This has been going on since the very beginning. Yeah.
And now we're getting versions of the Golden Dawn that are either politically motivated, they're designed for political goals. We're getting groups of Golden Dawners who are, in this case, I think he really does want to sell it as a brand. He can say, look, if you follow my method, you will be like the great poet, Nobel Prize winner Yeats, who was in this Magick Order, and he transformed everything and became a Nobel Prize writer. So in this case, it's brand, and it's easily accessible. And this is Rigardi's fault, because if he hadn't published that book, the remaining orders would have you'd have to gather material. You wouldn't be able to publish them. You'd have to slowly gather material, say from Bristol, from Farrell in New Zealand. I mean, the Golden Dawn would have still continued in different forms. People would have still written about it. But because Rigardi published that bloody book, any idiot can form a Golden Dawn order and call themselves a 5/6 or a Hierophant or anything else without training. And they do.
That's what a lot of the people I encounter are people who have discovered groups like that and then realize that it's that they want a bit more. Jorge has a question. I'm working on Newton's Scholia, he says. Is there any advice you can offer as I'm going through my Hermetic research? Thanks. Any familiarity? Do you have any knowledge about Isaac Newton?
Isaac Newton. Oh,
Isaac Newton's word. Yeah, Isaac Newton.
At the time, didn't he fall out with Casaubon? Or is that because I haven't not read it because Newton is very, very tricky. I tend to follow the Hermetica more than anything else.
Yeah.
Not really go beyond that.
Joe Jack says, thanks for everyone here. Like and subscribe, folks. What areas of the Golden Dawn system or tradition would you like to see scholarly studies of? That's an interesting question. I might answer that as well.
I'd like to see more of, actually, scholarly is a bit problematic because you have a scholar and they don't understand the magic side. And so you end up
like me.
You end up with a situation where they don't really understand, for example, that when the Hierophant speaks, he's channeling a god form because that won't have been taught. That's not written down anywhere, or not written down in an easy way that can be understood. But I would like to see more stuff written on inner work within the Golden Dawn, perhaps using some of the unpublished papers. I mean, some of it appeared with the Florence Fast Sphere group, but there was a ton of other stuff. And I'm pretty sure there must be papers out there with the channeling of the various people, because I'd like to see some of their contact work out there, because that could be quite interesting.
I agree. Magus in the media has popped by. We were just talking about you. Your ears must have been burning, brother. I've told everyone that our episode and interview on Maynard James Keenan, the Reverend, is dropping soon, I believe. So yeah, good. Thanks for popping by the show. Another question. Lova says, does Nick think any GD rituals have any effect to non-initiates? Generally, we say, of course. I mean, rituals. Go for it, Nick.
Depends who's doing them. I mean, if you think about it, the Naught is a non-initiate being exposed to the order. So, but if you did a Golden Dawn ritual by yourself, nah, not without. I mean, I'm currently writing a self-initiation process for the Golden Dawn for my Substack.
Join his Substack, people. If you're not on his Substack, you are falling behind in your studies, because the rest of us are following what Nick and his wife are putting out there and growing together as a community.
I think when you look at these, you have to break everything down to get the same effect of a single well-done ritual. So say, for example, I want to initiate someone in the 110. Now, in the 110, a candidate has presented the diagrams of the shrew bread and the 7-branch candlestick. So to recreate that in a self-initiation context, I have to make sure that the student is looking at that diagram, is integrating it within their sphere of sensation, is allowing it to transform them in the same way that I would do it. It's 10 times harder than it is if I was just doing it if I was initiating somebody. So yeah, it is possible, but it's much harder. What?
Muted. Shoot, I'm muted. Sorry. Yeah, in the States, you need a 501c3 to lock in the ordination process. Yes, which is a freedom you have in America that we don't have in Canada. So enjoy your freedoms religiously, because we don't have them in British Columbia. Paul Francis Young says, creating a cash cult by manipulating people through influence, which kind of explains this, why we have so many influencers today. Yeah, I mean, that's nothing new. Seagulls do indeed eat up any... yeah, sure. Yeah. Democratization of propaganda. Okay. Well, do you want to do a little... I should probably let you go then, I suppose.
I'm going to fall asleep.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's late. It's like 11:30 at night there for you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I'm old. I've got to have my hot milk.
We're lucky to have you, brother.
I've got to have my hot milk.
Get tucked in
See
your little Golden Dawn plushie. If you had one plushie of a Golden Dawn officer that you snuggled to bed each night, which officer would it be?
Oh, I'd have to have the Hierophant.
He was really cute. The Golden Dawn. We need a meme of you snuggling a Golden Dawn plushie. Because I'd love it if we could fundraise the money to make those ones you guys mocked up.
I thought Golden Dawn pajamas would be fun.
That would be fun.
You could actually have little black ones with a sash.
So but next thing you know, people would be wearing them in temple. They'd be like, ah. Yeah. the sleepy order of the Golden Dawn.
Yeah.
Always so much fun, Nick Farrell, to have you on, folks. Nick Farrell runs Lord Manticore Press. He has a Substack blog with his amazing wife Paula. Check out their interview with me on the show. It's really good. She's a firecracker, and their writing is wonderful. The insights, the recent article you wrote on ritual work, I absolutely loved it. Yeah, I always try and be very liberal when I guide people through like things like learning to vibrate and stuff. But I like that you mentioned that like the guttural thing where people are like, I got criticized for my vibration being too songy and it not being enough.
Yeah, no, it's horrible.
I got criticized on a stream recently for not being more, and it's like, yeah, well, some people do that, and I'm not gonna go after someone because they vibrate a certain way ever, because as a vocalist, I was a professional vocalist for over a decade, full time. The voice grows and changes, and you want to explore it. What I try and tell people is to explore it in the early phases, is explore your voice. Understand, you can't really do anything until you learn it. You're not really doing the lesser ritual, the pentagram, until you have it memorized at all. Like the first step is to learn a thing. Yeah, the first step's to learn a thing, and and there's always some leeway when you're learning something, and so you should give yourself that leeway so that you don't become ossified and codified right off the bat based on whatever thing you read or whatever thing someone told you. That's my stance. And also Lord Manticore Press, last chance to get books by Pat Zalewski from Lord Manticore Press. Correct?
Yeah, you've got 24 hours, I think.
24 hours to get the Pats. They are the best, they're the updated, expanded versions of Zalewski's work. So go to Lord Manticore Press, get the Zalewski books, because they are getting yanked by my former roommate.
They're getting yanked, and then they'll be redone, but they're going to be redone sometime in the future, unknown.
Yeah,
and it's nice to have them.
It will be nice to have them. And let's make sure, and Nick should get we want Nick to get some coins from those sales instead of my ex-roommate, who I won't say more about. Enough has been said. Enough has been said. Well, this has been absolutely a pleasure. How far we get? We got 20 minutes in. Took us almost 2.5 hours to get 20 minutes in. Par for the course. Par for the course, right?
Okay.
All right.
Night, night, everyone.
Night, night, everyone. Night, night, Nick Farrell. God bless. All the best to your lovely wife. I'd love to have you guys on sometime this fall for a round 2. Maybe when you have of an announcement or something fun. I mean, anytime.
Okay. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao bello. All right. Farewell, sir. Farewell. And now there was one. Oh, look, that's me. Okay. I don't know. Should we wrap things up there? We didn't hit the super chat goal. The stretch goal, so I think we might wrap things up there, but I appreciate you all being here. Yeah, you didn't miss it. You sort of missed it, but like, yeah, I could hang around longer and do more, but we'll get back to this guy. I don't know. Should we just check out a little bit more?
When you have absolutely zero physical resources and the entire external world is aligned against you, the internal world, the world of imagination, will, and energy still responds. The technology still functions. The architecture of consciousness still holds. This is the ultimate test of any system of reality creation. Does it work when everything else has been stripped away? The Golden Dawn system passed that test through Damien Eccles, and Neville Goddard's method passes it every single day through the thousands of practitioners who are proving it in their own lives. Here's something I want you to understand, because it will transform how you approach a spiritual practice. I know that some of you do not believe in magic, and I understand that. This does not have to be true to you. When you perform a ritual that has been performed by thousands of people over more than a century, you are tapping into something far greater than your own individual effort. The Golden Dawn. 1888. Every single time someone traces a pentagram in the air, every time someone vibrates the name of an archangel, every time someone walks the circumambulation of a temple, physical or imagined, that act creates an impression in what we might call the Akashic field. It leaves a trace, it deepens a groove, it adds energy to a pattern that already exists in the subtle fabric of reality. When you sit down today and perform the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, you are accessing the accumulated spiritual charge of over 130 years of practice. You are plugging into a current that has been strengthened by Yeats, Crowley, Rigardi, Dion Fortune, by Damien Eccles.
Yeah, this is, I guess, the modern idea of drawing energy from the egregore. Some of us, I know a lot of us, view it more as we're built like in similar to conjuration practices and working with any spirits or daimon. It's this relationship you build with the angel of the order, with the angels of the order, the secret chiefs of the order. I think you'll find that to be a much more commonly held view than drawing energy from the egregore. The egregore thing has gotten sort of a bit out of control in the ways that it's been interpreted post Golden Dawn, but I'm also here for it. It's kind of fun.
And by countless anonymous practitioners who dedicated their lives to this work. The ritual has power because of the Akashic memory.
Oh my God, wait a second. Piano Chuck, hey, thanks for joining the channel, Piano Chuck. It's been fun talking with you in the comments. You say, you know what tripped me out is I told my coworker about the censorship in Canada today. Yep, that's a thing. And I was telling him about it. As I was telling him about the phone rings, says Quebec. Yep, the Quebec, they are watching you. They are watching you, and they can see what you do in your dreams because they speak the true French. Ouais. Apporte-moi un café. So I can't see the fine print and missed this part, Frater. Who is this guy in the video? This guy in the video is someone who does secret new thought financial wealth conferences in Austin, Texas, and all over the place. And he does a series of videos teaching Golden Dawn history and Golden Dawn practices, in quotes, to promote his new thought, the secret financial positive thinking system and business. Think and Grow Rich type stuff. Oh yeah, Magus in the media. Good to see you. It says my Frater L theory conversation's coming out tomorrow morning. Then ours had moved to next week. Oh well, see, I wanted to come out before the sale ends for ENOCHIACON. That's why I wanted to make sure it was out in time. But that's okay, whatever. But that means people will watch your video, then go to register and find out it's too late, and that's unfortunate. But again, they'll just have to pay more. It's all good. Yeah. I attack the French language. Murder me, but not my language. Yes, your ears were burning. So excited to get the conversation out. Yeah, it'll be great whenever you release it. Don't fret, brother. Don't fret.
Of every prior performance. This is why lineage matters in magical traditions. This is why established rituals carry a force that newly invented ceremonies simply cannot match because they have been done.
Oh, so he's arguing that older is better and things done by a bunch of people are better. Dr. Puka just put out a video debunking this silly idea that people use to, what's the phrase, to launder sort of ritual value or reputational value by claiming, part of this ancient lineage and all this stuff. Spiritually, it's a nonsense idea completely. It violates the whole ethos of the Hermetic tradition, which sees us as, it's the people of the past weren't more special or more connected to God than you can be today, right now. Yeah, he's like promising to connect people, to connect them to the egregore. I mean, there's been a lot written in the history of spirituality about this kind of worship of Mammon.
The Akashic field remembers them. And when you reproduce the same pattern, you access the full depth of that memory. Think about this in terms of Neville Goddard's teaching on states of consciousness. When you enter a state, when you assume the feeling of wealth or health or love, you are entering a pre-existing structure in consciousness. That state already exists. It has been occupied before by others.
We see his theory of money magic. This is his theory of money, basically of money magic.
Into its frequency, the Golden Dawn rituals function the same way. They are pre-built states of...
Yeah, because if this shit was true, every poor person in the world would be rich, because every poor person thinks nonstop pretty much about not being poor. It's like people who are in pain think about nonstop not being in pain. If you're hungry, guess what you think about all the time? We all know.
Consciousness, refined and charged by generations of practitioners waiting for you to step into them. I incorporate this understanding into my own practice when I work with the techniques I teach on this channel: reality transurfing, quantum jumping, future self techniques, the work of Neville Goddard, the Law of One material. I am aware that I am accessing streams of practice. The effect, you are joining a current. You're adding your energy to an ancient river, and the river carries you. One of the most extraordinary things about the Golden Dawn is how thoroughly it influenced the esoteric landscape of the 20th century, usually without anyone realizing it. When the original order began to fracture in the early 1900s, its members scattered and carried the teachings into every corner of the Western mystical world.
Obviously not. They created basically different versions of the same thing and stayed as members often in each other's group, like adepts from both the Stella Matutina and the Alpha and Omega, the AO, were members of the Cromlech Temple of Brody Inns with Master Shemesh and the channeling they were doing up there, and all the amazing documents that still have not been ever published that are, if you read the documents on the aura and the understanding of sexuality and sexual energy as well, as really developed there. But I read, I think in Nick Farrell's book, that at a point adepts of both the SM and AO were meant to be also in the Cromlech order. So again, they didn't scatter to the four winds and spread the egregore across the universe. They all stayed sort of working together and continuing to develop the system, which is why Falcon came along and created his beautiful 6, 5, and 7, 4 rituals, which Nick thinks everyone should sort of create their own. I've heard him say, again, he was just on the show, so I don't want to misrepresent him, but he's talked about this a lot. And again, he's the one who published the books analyzing and showing these rituals, so check out his books.
Aleister Crowley left to form the AA and the OTO, embedding Golden Dawn rituals and Kabbalistic.
And Crowley didn't form the OTO, he bought a branch of it and then sort of usurped it.
Correspondences into his thelemic system. A.E. Waite took the mystical branch of the work and created the Waite-Smith Tarot deck, the most widely used tarot deck in history, whose imagery is...
We've covered the facts and fiction on that in my deep dive called Did W.B. Yeats Invent the Rider-Waite-Smith Deck? So check that deep dive out for the facts on that story. Yeah.
Saturated with Golden Dawn symbolism.
He implies GD invented psychology.
Every time someone picks up a Rider-Waite tarot deck, they are handling Golden Dawn technology. Dion Fortune split off to form her own group, the Inner Light, which I discussed in a previous episode on the woman who weaponized magic. And she wrote books like The Mystical Kabbalah and Psychic Self-Defense that became foundational texts for modern occultism. Her student Gareth Knight continued the lineage, and through Fortune's influence, Golden Dawn principles filtered into the modern Wiccan and neo-pagan movements, providing the ceremonial structure that Gerald Gardner wove into the foundation of Wicca. Israel Regardie's publication of the complete Golden Dawn system in 1937 was the earthquake that shattered the veil.
That was just a republication of the previous Black Brick version because of ownership rights. He had to rewrite it sort of to get around the copyright of the previous version, if I'm not mistaken.
Secrecy forever.
And again, this does very little of the outer order and very little of the inner order, in fact. It's just got some stuff, and then it's got a lot of his ritual work that we discussed earlier.
As one commentator noted, this single book has been the foundation for much of the occult revival of the last half of the 20th century. It provided resource materials for Wicca, modern paganism, and dozens of magical groups. It gave tens of thousands of serious students a complete curriculum for spiritual development. The teachings also flowed into the world of psychology. Regardie was a practicing psychotherapist who saw the direct parallel between magical initiation and Jungian individuation. Jung himself had noted that the symbolic work his patients did, painting mandalas, working with archetypal images, produced therapeutic effects identical to what the ceremonial magicians described.
So yeah, I disagree that the Golden Dawn system and others, but some Golden Dawn people think this that is about individuation. I've had this discussion actually with Melissa Seams, who says that Crowley seemed to have been very successful as Golden Dawn initiate because of how he individuated or actualized his personality, and I guess that's a fair analysis, but I certainly don't think it's the purpose of the Hermetic tradition or the Golden Dawn system of Hermeticism. I think the purpose is an individuation. I think that maybe is a healthy psychological thing to do, depending on your view on psychology or which school of individuation you subscribe to, because there's more than one, of course. But I think it's about initiation, and initiation is not the same thing as individuation. Initiation's about entering deeper into the mysteries and coming to experience the fullness of your nous, your accessing your higher self.
The Golden Dawn system was
so the individuation of the lower self is not the same thing, and certainly not the end goal, compared to the awakening of the higher and divine self, nous or daimon.
Psychology before depth psychology had a name. And then there is the connection to the New Thought and manifestation movements. Neville Goddard, as we have discussed, was personally known to Regardie and was considered by him to be the most magical practitioner he had ever encountered. The principles underlying Neville's teaching, the creative power of imagination, the importance of entering specific feeling states, the idea...
Brian, you say, do you think this guy is more perennialist self-help guru or charlatan con artist? Well, I think he's definitely he's using, he's putting on the Golden Dawn skin suit to sell his money magic, positive thinking, new thought system, which he's just using Golden Dawn aesthetics and overlays without, you know, again, he doesn't have a clue what the actual thing is about. And it's funny how you can read the books and still miss all the main points about what it's about. You can just miss all of them. And probably it's because you went into the study of this stuff without questioning and searching and wondering, and then therefore finding people to help you learn it. Instead, he went into it with an idea of what he wanted to do with it. Like, how can I use this? Rather than how can this system use me? How can I serve the system? This is something that I really like that Sam Scarborough and I used to talk about a lot. It's like everyone's coming in to be like, how can this system help me? How can the Golden Dawn help me do this? How can the Golden Dawn help me do that? Blah, blah, blah. Right? It's like, how can you help it, motherfucker?
Identity of consciousness with God are the same principles that Golden Dawn encoded in their elaborate ceremonial.
How can you serve God and nature and humanity? That's what I mean.
System. The Golden Dawn is the root system beneath the visible forest. Whether you practice tarot, Kabbalah, ceremonial magic, Wicca, chaos magic, Neville Goddard's imaginal techniques, or any form of modern manifestation work, you are standing on ground that the Golden Dawn prepared. The Golden Dawn assigned each initiate 4 elemental weapons: the wand, fire; the cup, water; the dagger, air; and the pentacle, earth. These correspond to the 4.
And obviously those things aren't in the Golden Dawn. Those are in the RAC Inner Order and made by adepts traditionally.
4 letters of the divine name Yehovah, the Tetragrammaton, and to the 4 fundamental forces required.
I'll find something, some prize or stickers. I'll mail stickers to the first person to make me a Tetragrammaton meme. I need a tetra with 4 pigs lined up. Tetragrammaton. It's the opposite of what the Jews would want. The 4 pigs. The name of the 4 pigs.
Required for the manifestation of any intention into physical reality. The wand represents will. It is the initial impulse, the desire, the spark that says, I choose this. In Neville's language, it is the moment you decide what you want. The cup represents the emotional and receptive faculty, your ability to feel the wish fulfilled, to receive the impression of the desired state. The dagger is the discriminating intellect that cuts away doubt, distraction, and conflicting beliefs. And the pentacle is the physical anchor, the final step of grounding the intention into material reality. Every act of reality creation.
But magic works not by grounding ideas, by wishful thinking in reality. Right? We summon spirits, we align ourselves with God and work with timing and fates to position ourselves and be sometimes in the right place at the right time, but also to have spirits, have entities helping us, have influence and be able to, you know, exert your will and consciousness in a way that communicates with those forces, those occult forces. The occult refers to forces, not knowledge, traditionally. And so we work with those forces and we gain sort of, not currency, but, you know, you can look at it as pacts or agreements that are made, right? You help me with this, I'll do this, that sort of thing. That's definitely there in magic. And I think that's why a lot of people don't find success in magic, is because they think you can just manifest your thoughts as energy into matter. And I mean, if it works for you, more power to you.
And follows this sequence. You decide what you want, the wand. You feel it has already accomplished, the cup. You eliminate contradictory thoughts and beliefs, the dagger, and you ground it into physical expression through action and embodiment, the pentacle. The Golden Dawn insisted that each student personally manufacture their own magical instruments.
Incorrect. The Golden Dawn did not do that. In fact, none of the Golden Dawn initiates knew that there were these tools even in the Inner Order.
Taught that the act of creating these physical symbols, painting them, carving them, consecrating them activated something dormant within the practitioner. The instruments were expressions of inner realities projected outward, and once created, they reacted upon.
No, we add the elements after consecration are added to the elemental tool, which we hold in the left hand, while tracing symbols with the right hand. And every time we use the water cup, a little more water is added to it every time we hold the fire. So we're using it to add energy to it of that element, or through the spirit, the elemental forces, right? It's an animistic worldview of all these infinite daimone spirits, elemental spirits going into the implement, and then we can draw on them, as that's why we hold them in our left hand. But again, yeah, whatever.
Upon their maker, they became, as the order taught, true talismans of power. The principle applies directly to your manifestation practice when you create physical anchors for your intentions, vision boards, written affirmations, symbolic objects, even the physical space where you meditate. You are manufacturing your magical weapons. You're externalizing inner states and giving them form, and those forms react upon.
All right, I'd love to talk more about this. Send me I can't do another goal thing. I don't want to do that, but I'm gonna shout out the conference again that we're gonna do. It's gonna be fun. You should come. It's gonna be a blast. ENOCHIACON, November 6th through 8th. Attend online or in person. And here's a song I wrote about it. If you want me to go to the end of this video and finish it off, send me some super chats, gift some channel memberships, or just hit the like button. That's all that really matters. But I'll see you in a sec. Oh, thank you very much, Brian, for the donation. I appreciate it.
They reinforce the state. They deepen the groove. They make the invisible visible. One of the most distinctive practices of the Golden Dawn was the vibratory technique, the practice of intoning divine names with the entire body until you felt the vibration resonating through every cell of your being. This was treated as a core technology, and Rigardi emphasized it above almost everything else in the curriculum. The idea is straightforward but profound.
I don't think
Certain
Ricardi did
combinations
that.
of sounds, when spoken with full concentration and emotional engagement, produce measurable effects on consciousness and on the subtle energy field of the practitioner. The Hebrew divine names used in Golden Dawn rituals, Ehyeh, Yehovah, Elohim.
So he gives himself away there. We don't say Jehovah, do we? No, that's a Crowley thing. So he's right there conflating the AA thelemic approach. So he's like, this is how you do the Golden Dawn. And thelema.
El Chai are believed to encode specific frequencies that correspond to different levels of the tree of life. When you vibrate the name Ehyeh, I am, you are doing something remarkably similar to what Neville.
Brian, you say the wand found the Eye of Balor. It's a sling stone. It's a sling stone that found the Eye of Balor. Yeah. Actually, I've redone... so the music in one of the ENOCHIACON promos, the short one, is from my Ballad of Lulu, which I will be finishing recording in the next week or so, along with laying down some upright bass on the promo Delta D blues song for the ENOCHIACON. And then throughout the fall, we'll record the next D and Kelly ballad. But I can play for you at the end the song, my Ballad of Lou, with the new vocals. We stripped out the other instruments and just have the vocals with a bit of guitar and backing stuff. So I could play that at the end if you guys want when we go. So you can hear the final vocals unmixed, of course, unmixed and unfinished. Every cell, I can barely swear. Yeah, well, we do see it's radiating throughout the universe. Of course, we do see the vibrations as resonating throughout all of creation.
Well, Goddard taught when he said that the foundation of all reality creation is the awareness of being. I am is the creative principle itself. It is the ground from which all manifestation springs. The Golden Dawn ritualized this truth and built an entire technology around it.
So he's thinking we say vibrate Ehyeh, I am, because it's about I. No, we're saying God. We're saying Ata, you are I am. God is I am. So the self in God, not the self in self. He's turned it into this very solipsistic, almost narcissistic, power of one, the power of many type thing.
Modern science is beginning to catch up with this understanding. Studies on sound healing, mantra meditation, and the effects of vocalization on the autonomic nervous system.
You should, next time you meet a scientist, be like, so I hear you're finally catching up to understanding the power of magic, and as a true ultimate human technology. I wonder what the scientists will say.
All point to the same conclusion. Sustained, intentional sound production alters brain states, shifts emotional frequencies, and creates measurable changes in the body's electromagnetic field. The Golden Dawn practitioners discovered this through direct experience more than a century ago. And there's something else happening when you vibrate these names. You are participating.
We'd have to test if it affect the electromagnetic field, I think,
in the Akashic memory
of
every practitioner who has ever vibrated them before you. The sound carries history, intention, the concentrated spiritual energy of more than 100 years of dedicated practice. When you open your mouth and intone Ehyeh with sincerity and focus, you are plugging into a current that runs all the way back to the founding of the Isis-Urania temple.
No, you're calling it one of the oldest names of God that humans have used for God. Things that God has called God's self. Ehyeh, who are you? Ehyeh, Asher, Ehyeh.
In 1888.
I am what
and the Golden Dawn would argue far beyond that into the ancient Egyptian and Hebrew traditions from which these names originally emerged. Among the most extraordinary rituals preserved in the complete Golden Dawn is the ritual for transformation. In this ceremony, the practitioner takes on the form of a deity, most often Isis, the great mother of the Egyptian pantheon, by building up an imaginative body around themselves until it becomes almost physical. The instructions say to formulate the desired form without fear and to feel yourself actually in the shape desired. The ritual guide says the form should seem like a cloud of mist enveloping you.
Yeah. You know what? I think we'll do that. I'll play the song if you want to hear it. But yeah, that's cool. But that the wand reminded you of Balor of the Evil Eye, so I sing about him in the song. This is the stuff I wish me and Nick had covered. Maybe I'm just gonna save this in case Nick wants to come back and do some more. I don't know why he'd want to abuse himself in that way, but maybe for all of our benefit, he would be willing to come back and finish this clip off. Unless you guys really want me to finish it off on my own, I'll let you guys decide. Yeah, I'll let you guys decide. So let me know what you think while I remind you that I have a book club, and it's not too late to join. Our first chapter of Wouter Hanegraaff's Hermetic Spirituality has to be read by the 3rd Sunday of September, and here's a little bit more info on that. Walk the way of Hermes and unveil the life and light of the Corpus Hermeticum, Hermetic Spirituality. Join our monthly book club to learn and meet others who seek the ancient wisdom of Hermes Trismegistus. Join via YouTube membership's book club tier and subscribe at hermeticspirituality.com. All right.
But yet wholly visible. And then you are instructed to move through the temple space entirely enshrouded by this new form, declaring, "Thus have I formulated unto myself this transformation." This is future self work. This is precisely what I teach on this channel about stepping into the version of you that already exists in a parallel reality. The Golden Dawn codified this process into a formal ritual more than a century ago. They understood that identity is fluid, that the self can be consciously reconstructed, and that the act of imaginatively assuming a new form produces real changes in the practitioner's consciousness and eventually in their external reality.
See, and that's the thing when doing God form work, one of the most important things is to not let it affect your consciousness. We take vows to not let spirits or hypnosis alter us in a way that could cause us to do bad things. So the point of God forms is actually balancing the energy of the God form and maintaining your consciousness. That's why it's done only by adepts traditionally, but of course sometimes it's necessary in some of our opinions for outer order people to use God forms for different reasons. Yeah, AI Golden Dawn instructions. Well, I don't think so. I think this is the guy, his opinions and what he's learned from whoever group he was in. Could have been many groups, of course, who knows. But yeah, but that's bad advice on God form work from this guy.
The transformation ritual asks you to vibrate divine names to invoke archangelic forces and to sustain the imaginative form until it becomes a living presence. You are told to address the form directly, to command it to be open to the divine presence, the understanding and love of the supernals. You are speaking to your future self as if it already exists, because in the Golden Dawn's understanding of the Tree of Life, it does. Every possible version of you already exists as a pattern in the subtle architecture of reality. The ritual simply helps you inhabit it. When I work with the future self technique, and this is the central technique to everything I teach in Reality Revolution,
is that a Jordan Peterson
I am drawing
thing?
on this exact principle. The difference is that I have stripped away the elaborate ceremonial framework and condensed it into a direct, accessible practice. But the underlying mechanics are identical. You build the image, you feel the reality of it, you sustain it with focused attention and emotional conviction, and allow it to transform you from the inside out. There's a concept in magical tradition that I want to introduce to you because it unlocks an entirely new dimension of understanding about why these practices work and why they become more powerful over time. The concept is the egregore, and it's the same thing as a pendulum. But an egregore is a...
Man, the modern reinterpretations of all of this is wild, aren't they? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I might do more of this video if you guys really want, but you're going to have to, encourage me. But I will share with you the final vocals of the new song. There'll probably be a little bit of harmony added, and obviously all the instruments have to be mixed back in and vocal processing done. I mean, just EQ. But here's the final vocals I recorded, and you might have heard this song in its demo form. First wrote it and composed it during Lunasa, the month of August last year. Wanted to have it done, but it took a whole year to really bang out the demo, then take it in the studio and rework some stuff. So a lot of work has gone into this song. I'm very proud of the finished vocals. They're more dynamic and tell a bit of a story. So enjoy the Ballad of Lou by yours truly. It's going to be part of a whole ballad album I'm doing of the ballads of the Tuaje Danan. And then after that will come my book on bardic song and magic, based on my many years as a professional bard. All right. That deepens what you mean. Okay, I don't know what you're saying. Add to stage. All right. So. In Erin's emerald verdant vale, where banshee winds do wail, there strode a youth with golden hair, a shining being fair. With spear in hand and heart alight, he came from fairylands. To Taro's fortress he traveled, with destiny in hand. Who art thou, cried New Water King, so full of shining grace? Oh, I am Lou of many arts, and come to take my place. Oh, I smith, I harp, I heal too, I game, I craft, I fight. And if ye seek a worthy soul, then test my skill and might. The gates of Tara opened wide, the tribes all hushed with awe. For never had a godling come, so skilled as now they saw. He bore the spear that never missed, the hound that none could flee, the sling stone sharp, the light of dawn, his spells could quell the sea. When Balor of the evil light led four legions grim, 'twas Lou who rose at Moitira, though odds were stark and slim. With stone he struck his grandsire down, the eye that Lou laid low. And Dana's tribes with joyful cry did watch the tyrant go. Now every craft and every skill, each harvest sword and flame, does whisper still of Lou's great hand, and sing of his name's fame. For on one foot with one eye closed, Lou cast an ancient spell, and weakened Balor's great army, who to the Danan fell. In the summer sun, and Luna shall rejoice. Unskull the phantom, Lulu still lives in every magic voice. The long-armed one with shining light, who rose when hope was there. Oh, sing ye now, the god of skill, let Lulu the bright shine in. Thanks for listening to the work in progress, and support the show, because it's you guys who really allow me to do this sort of creative stuff via your support on YouTube. It's what allows me to bring a bit more creativity to the very theoretical and sulfurous ritual, mercurial and sulfurous ritual and theory that we talk about and practice all the time. So it's really great. Really love being able to bring in more music, and thanks for making that possible with your donations and support and channel memberships. That's why I can do the music. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll be putting out some physical media forms of it for you to enjoy as we keep going. The Ballad of Bridget is also going to be in its final forms this Imbolc in February. I just have to redo the vocals for it. The instruments are all good, as well as some backing tracks from background music on them from Justin Hagberg check out his band Organist, or go see him on tour with 3 Inches of Blood. Yeah, thanks Lux Pendragon, thanks everyone for the compliments. I'm glad you love the flutes, and I had dethroned Lon Milo. Well, he had a number one, he had a hit back in the day. But yeah, no, I played like 200 shows a year for over 10 years. So I did play a lot, and I did some big shows and had a good career. Psoriasis sort of robbed me of it, but you know, I'm bringing it back in my middle age to in a different form, and that's wonderful. Yeah, I might do a year-long tour of the States one day in the future, because getting a year-long visa as a Canadian musician is very easy. You just pay them $1,000, and then you can play shows for a year in the States and work as a musician in the States for a year. So Patchwork Andrew, thank you very much, brother. Much appreciated. Law Fada, yeah. Law actually means hand, so it's long hand. Fada means long, and law means hand, as in tourdum de law, a handshake. Thank you very much, Brian, again for the super sticker. Much appreciated. Yeah, it's always fun to share my music with you guys, and I look forward to the day when you can all buy a beautiful vinyl with gorgeous album cover, like a double vinyl with like 20 songs of ballads of the Tuatha Danann on it. Maybe we'll just get done a dozen or so, but we'll do as many as we can. It takes a long time to record songs, especially when you follow the school of recording I sort of come from. Certainly we use comp tracks sometimes, like the vocals were comped. I mean, there's no auto-tune or anything like that, of course, but it's 3 vocal takes, and the best parts of each are put together. So that's a comp, and everyone pretty much does that. But we generally aim to do the best all in one take as you can. So for example, the guitar track you heard there, I rehearsed that until I could nail it in one take, because I recorded that even home just here at the desk on a pro mic. But I rehearsed it until I had one good take. And so that takes time. Like writing the lyrics for that song, it takes me about 30 days to compose a song like that. It takes time. So thank you for the support. I will do a little bit more of this video since
this pendulum
are sticking around.
And the Golden Dawn was using pendulums and egregores before we even knew about them. An egregore is a collective thought form, a living, autonomous energy pattern created by the sustained focus, intention, and emotional investment of a group of people over time. Every organization, movement, religion generates an egregore, but magical orders generate them deliberately. They feed them through ritual. They structure them.
If you want to understand egregores, read Mark Stavish's book on egregores, or study what the Golden Dawn actually says about them. Don't listen to this nonsense.
Through symbol, they sustain them through the dedicated practice of their members across generations. The Golden Dawn created one of the most potent egregores in the history of Western esotericism. Every ritual performed in its temples.
See, I think this is why people talk about the egregore so much, because they see it as a way to take ownership of it away from the tradition itself. It's like, oh, your tradition means nothing. We don't have to do the initiations or the ceremonies of Golden Dawn or Freemasonry or Amwork even or whatever. We can just take the egregore from you and then make it better so that you can get rich by visualizing it. Think and grow rich.
Great initiation, every vibration of a divine name, every visualization of an archangelic form, all of it contributed to the growth and strengthening of this collective spiritual entity. And here's the key: the egregore gives back. When you connect to it through practice, it supports you, it amplifies your work, it provides guidance, protection.
See, this is all just a way to psychologize and cut out spirits and God, really. This is a way of making sort of almost an atheist. This is an atheist interpretation of the Golden Dawn. He hasn't mentioned God or the Lord of the universe or Thanksgiving, which we're constantly doing, is giving thanks in the Golden Dawn. Adorations, Thanksgiving, thank you for permitting me to enter. Like, it is Ata, you. You are Eheye, you are I am, the monad, the God we can't even conceive of, because it's so vast beyond creation that it can only best be described kind of as light and life, but is not reifiable. Because as soon as you reify it, it's no longer God.
Quality of spiritual energy that individual practice alone can rarely generate. This is why tradition matters. It's why Damien Eccles emphasizes practicing within established magical frameworks rather than simply inventing your own rituals from scratch. There is immense creative power in innovation, of course, but when you practice within a lineage, you plug into a current of accumulated spiritual force that has been building for decades or centuries.
And you know what's funny? That's exactly what I look like when I do my ritual work, is I look like this guy with a demonic face, mouth agape, with letters, AI gibble letters flowing out of my mouth as I sit in a half lotus in a suit with the buttons done up. Oh my God, so ridiculous. And the Norse runes, broken Norse runes spiraling around my head.
You're drawing on the egregore. Neville Goddard tapped into something similar through a...
It's such a heresy. You're not drawing on the egregore, you're drawing on God. Creation, daimones.
Different channel. His teacher Abdullah connected him to an ancient stream of Kabbalistic and mystical knowledge that stretches back thousands of years through the Hebrew tradition. When Neville taught the practice of I am consciousness, he was connecting his students.
Oh, so Neville's I am consciousness is now they're laundering Hebrew mysticism, Jewish mysticism, the whole history of Jewish and Kabbalistic practices. They're laundering that through Neville Goddard's I am thing. That's so funny, this guy.
Students to one of the oldest and most powerful egregores in human spiritual history, the accumulated energy of every mystic, prophet, and practitioner who's ever worked with the divine name. Here's what this means for you. Every time you practice, you are adding to the current. Every time you sit in silence and feel the reality of your desired state. Every time you affirm your identity as the creator of your experience, you are strengthening the egregore of awakened consciousness itself.
Yeah, you'd be better off using the precise spirit on a good timing astrologically, or hour even, than trying to tap into some egregore. I mean, egregores are created by groups of people, and if you join a group, you enter into that group's egregore by just naturally. But someone then couldn't tap into my egregore, right?
You are making it easier for the next person who follows. You're contributing to a spiritual force that is larger than any individual life. The Golden Dawn had a name for the supreme goal of all magical practice. They called it the Great Work, defined as the knowledge and conversation of the higher and divine genius. In modern language, this means establishing a conscious on.
See, I think one of the reasons a lot of people like this also attribute things being created by the Golden Dawn instead of having a further history. So they don't have to address that history, they don't have to have any knowledge of it, and they don't have to understand how it works. That way they can remake it, right? So they have to separate all of these historical ideas, like the great work, from its original embeddedness in the spiritual traditions we find it in. And so by divorcing this stuff, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, the New Age is kind of leveled up, you might say, by discovering in its current usage of magical and occult traditions. And the New Age has leveled up.
Ongoing relationship with your higher self, the infinite divine aspect of your being that exists beyond the limitations of personality, circumstance, and physical form. Everything in the Golden Dawn system, every ritual, every grade, every symbol, every practice, was oriented toward this single objective.
Proceeds
the
to show none
pentagrams,
of
the divine
no
names,
Golden
the
Dawn
elemental
creeds,
weapons, the
symbols,
tree
or
of life
practices.
meditations, all of it served
not
as preparation and
right.
technology for achieving conscious contact
Well,
with the
I mean,
divine within.
it's a-
Rigardi was explicit about this. He warned students against performing magical ceremonies for trivial purposes or treating the forces of nature as toys. He quoted the order's own teaching, "Know thou that..."
But he's doing exactly what he's right. You see that? That's what he's doing.
This is to be done with solemnity, ceremony, and reverence. Unless thou doest thy practical magical works with sincerity, thou shalt be like an infant playing with fire, and thou shalt bring destruction upon
And
thy...
you can't sincerely do something that you've adulterated so that you can remake it in your own image. That's not sincere. That's adulteration, distortion.
myself. But here's the beautiful paradox at the heart of the work. When you achieve genuine contact with your higher genius, when you align your consciousness with the deepest truth of your being, the external world
Tell us what's
reorganizes
that's
itself
like. Tell
around
us
you.
what that's like.
It is the same as connecting with your future self. The manifestation happens as a natural byproduct of the alignment. You stop trying to...
So he's lying to people about what they can get out of the Golden Dawn system to sell his financial, wishful thinking events. Yeah. Anyway.
create reality
That's what it is.
and start allowing reality to express through you. This is the stage beyond technique. This is what Neville Goddard described when he spoke about mystical experiences in 1959, the experience of being
Imagine someone hearing his interpretation of the Golden Dawn, which is a presentation, a distorted, wrong version thing. Imagine them then going and pursuing it though in like relatively the right way, and discovering that none of these things come true that he claims will come true, but a whole bunch of other stuff happens that's also not always that easy to manage. Like going through the grades it's not actually easy. Even if you use the simple original tests, which is what I use now in my school with my students, they're very small tests. It just emphasizes the role of all the other work that you do. And that's when the fit hits the shan.
born from his own skull,
Maybe
the
not
descent
right away,
of
but
the Holy Spirit
it
as a
will.
dove. These were
And it will
transformations
change
that
you.
went beyond the manifestation of specific desires. They were
Yeah.
encounters
Yeah, he's preaching
with the
New
divine
Age,
source
not
from which all
course.
manifestation flows.
This
This is the ultimate gift
adoption
the
of
Golden
the
Dawn
Golden
offers
Dawn
to the
deeper
modern
into the New
practitioner.
Age.
Yes, you can use these principles to manifest money, relationships, health, and success, and I'm going to do deeper dives on that in future episodes. The principles work for these purposes, and they work magnificently. But the deeper invitation...
Yeah, I think we run the risk in the future, like maybe even at the end or after my lifetime, of the Golden Dawn only being known as some sort of version of New Thought. And that's what we'd love to avoid. And it might mean that the GD tradition has to go sub rosa almost entirely again in the future. So for some of you, especially my students, that might be the situation you find yourselves in the future, is training very small groups of students, very small working groups, and just having to shut off, because magic could be made illegal at any time. I mean, if we if we go full Sharia law, yeah, there's a lot of even Christian nationalists, I think, would probably ban the witch talk, witchcraft, sorcerers, and theurgists even.
is to discover who
Extremism
you
bad.
actually are
Extremism
beneath all
very,
the desires
very
and
bad.
fears
It will
and
lead
conditioned
you into
responses.
the darkness of hell.
The deeper when you truly make contact with the higher and divine genius that the Golden Dawn spent decades building technology to reach, you will discover that you have always been the magician. You've always been the one creating. You've always been the light sealed within the tomb waiting to remember itself.
I mean, this is the stuff I like about the New Age, though, which I grew up in. It was the religion I grew up in. I mean, this sort of positive Hermetic view, optimistic view of things is very healthy. Is much more healthy than a lot of the Christianities and other religions of the past, the versions of different religions we've had and still have today that promote, you know, extremism and other nasty things. I don't want to be too specific because, you know.
We live in an age of unprecedented access to spiritual knowledge. The teachings that were once guarded by oaths of secrecy and available only to those who passed through elaborate initiatory processes are now freely available in books, online courses, YouTube videos, at archive.org, podcasts like this one. But access alone is insufficient. Understanding is required. And the Golden Dawn offers something that scattered surface-level exposure to magical concepts simply cannot provide: a complete, integrated, systematic curriculum for the development of consciousness. The Tree of Life gives you the map, the grade system gives you the journey, the rituals give you the technology, the elemental weapons give you the tools, the divine names give you the keys, and the overarching philosophy that you are a...
I mean, if it was all that simple, right? Like, if only all of that worked. If you could just do what he said and that worked, that would be amazing. But more likely, you know, he's selling money courses for you to then resell to your friends, and maybe he is helping people with business development, but I don't think so.
Divine being
I think he's telling people if they do these spiritual practices, they'll get rich. Meanwhile he's getting rich telling them these lies. That's the way to do it, right?
Temporarily housed in matter, capable of awakening to your true nature through disciplined practice, gives you the reason. I'm constantly looking for ways to bring these deep teachings to you in a form that is practical.
Yeah, Brian, you'll notice the one thing he's not talked about, which is any of the stuff the Golden Dawn's about. Life and light, where's the comment? Yeah, extremism, right? Life and light. He hasn't talked about Thanksgiving. He hasn't talked about any of the stuff the Golden Dawn's actually about. He's walking around that stuff because it doesn't lead to where he wants it to lead to. It leads to God and many other things. But yeah, and extremism, he doesn't, so balance, right? Where the GD's all about balance. That's why whenever we hear get called RHP, right hand path, it's like, sorry, you can't understand our tradition through Eastern structures. You can't understand it through other traditions. Like there might be some illumination and insight that you can gain for sure. But again, yeah, we're about balance, and he doesn't even talk about that. Yeah, he wants the money. Well, yeah, I want money too. Send in some super chats so I can keep recording cool songs for you guys, and all of that. Join the channel, give some gift memberships. Looks like my internet connection is getting a bit flaky. Oh no, it's not charging. My computer's not charging. Okay, I'm gonna go before this. Why is it not charging? Oh, that's worrisome. Why am I not charging? Holy shit. Okay, let's see if I can quickly fix that. Oh my god, that's scary. Okay, I'll unplug that cable. Oh, crazy. Okay, that's not charging. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up because I'm worried that things might crash because my computer's about to die. Sorry about that. Love you all. Thanks for being here. Sorry for my computer not charging. I don't know why. I'll figure it out. And we'll be back with more. See you soon.
coming out, and I wanna see the Lord, the Lord, the Lord, the Lord, the Lord. Yeah.